Warning and disclaimer. The views and opinions expressed on this live feed are those of the guests, speakers, and or hosts, and do not necessarily reflect the beliefs, official policies, ethics, or positions of the content providers, advertisers, additional hosts, and or guests, hosting sites, groups, or entities attached to this programming. Viewer discretion is advised. And this show now featuring Fridays just got more anchored as C. Michael Lanning takes over to be the head anchor on Weekended, and he will be joined by all the people on the show today. That's just a cheap way for me to introduce him really quickly because we haven't cut it in yet. So there it is. Lanning's now featured on Sunday. Where he was funny. He's like, I got promoted. I was like, no, you just got more work.
That's usually how it goes.
You got more work on the weekend. This is don't feel bad. I got volunteered for this show. Meredith just one day was like, we should do a Sunday show. I was like, no, we shouldn't. She's like, no, we really should. And I was like, no, we really shouldn't. And she remember TD, the first one was like 10 in the morning. Mm-hmm. Because they weren't doing over on Indie Vault. They weren't doing the Sunday Comics Brunch, and no one knew if the show was coming back or not. I was so glad when the show came back because it gave me every excuse in the world to move this to 11 a.m. So, all right, let's go around the room. Let's start with the Crazy Man. Hey. Go ahead and introduce yourself.
What's up? I'm Sam, the Crazy Man, and I am a comic book writer, creator, and host of Catch the Craze podcast.
And then we'll go with JD.
How you doing, everyone? My name is JD Calderon. I'm the writer and creator of the Oswald Chronicles and Tall Tales. I also have a YouTube channel under JD Calderon under Indie Comics Explained, where I talk about comics regularly with people. And soon, coming back to Kickstarter, because you can't hold a good mouse down, the Oswald Chronicles coming back.
Now, are you live again tonight?
Yeah, I will be live again tonight at 7:30 p.m.
All right. And C. Michael Lanning.
Hey, I'm C. Michael Lanning. You already know me as the co-anchor of Weekended on Fridays. I'm also a independent artist and penciler for some stuff over at Silverline that's coming soon, so look out for that. And I'm just happy to be here this morning, Rob.
Happy to have you. I'm just seeing if Meredith has chimed in. Meredith's on the road. It's actually going to be one of the first stories we talk about. And we're going to be talking about conning around and all these other topics. Sunday Comics Brunch is brought to you, of course, by Comic Book Advocates and Geek Insider. So update your geek card at Geek Insider and fall back in love with comics at comicbookadvocates.com. See how well I have those pitches in my mind? That's where you all got to get. JD can do that. Every show I've ever had JD on, if I asked him to do his pitch, he had it. Like, right, that's it, man. You got to have it right there. And one of the reasons I'm bringing this up is I do have an interesting question for you, and then we're going to go to the map. So today's first topic is this. And here, let's line us up so we can actually all be here. What are the topics we aren't exploring but need to? Recently, it came to my awareness that I had no idea how to make my comics wholesale. I hadn't really thought about it. Like, how do you do that? What's a fair thing? Luckily, the person I'm talking to about it is a friend of mine, and he kind of explained it to me. And it was weird. It was like, well, how many other topics, even though I've been doing this for so long, how many topics aren't I aware of? How many things haven't I learned yet? So we'll even start with the wholesaling one, since we brought up these three topics. Now, right now, in our comments section, there's a link to the actual not the weekend, the actual brunch. I want you all to drop your links while we're going in the private chat. And I'll make sure to put it in the link, and you guys can follow along with us. Every one of these topics is within that actual link that is there. And like I said, Meredith will be trying to chime in during the day, and we'll be reading comments. But let's go around the room. How do you wholesale your comics? Who wants to start?
I can start on it.
Go ahead, JD. You're the pro.
All right. Basically, I mean, because when I started many moons ago, in 92, the only way you could sell your comics was wholesale if you were going to go national. So you had to set up with Diamond and the Capital City and Heroes World and all these different distributors, and basically it was 60-40. So you had to factor all that into your cover price. So the way to get wholesale numbers is volume. You need volume. You can't just, today we're doing a lot of POD. We're selling 100 copies. It's difficult to make those numbers with running POD, but if you're running 3,000 copies on a regular offset press, you can bring those numbers down where you can actually sell wholesale. Basically, it's a 60-40 split. Sometimes it's 65-35, depending on the deal you cut. With Diamond, sometimes they want 65-35, and they will pick up your books from the printer. So that's that extra 5% usually. And so if you got a $5 book, you're making $2 on it basically. And you got to try to get your print costs down to around. It would be nice to get around 50 cents, 75 cents. I think is typical. So you make $1.25 per book. So at least you're making some money. But again, you have to have volume, because if you're only selling 500 books, you're not making that much. You got to sit there. I don't know, if you're drawing your books and you're writing your own books and you're doing everything yourself, then you make a few bucks. But if you're hiring people, then you got to make some money. So if you're selling, I don't know, 3,000 books and you're making $1.25, you make about what, 4,000 and change, 37.50, something like that.
It's around there.
Yeah. So I mean, those are really the things, and that's how you have to look at wholesale pricing. You have to remember, you got to give away that big chunk. Small portion, well, about 20% goes to Diamond, the rest of it goes to the retailer. Everybody has to make a little bit of money. So
Yeah, and if you're not, to JD's point, if you're not in a place where you can produce so many books, just have lying around. Because if you guys notice, one of the topics I actually brought up, this one doesn't get talked about a lot in comics for us creators, is all the people who don't think about scheduling when they get their books. Now, if you're making enough money, that will directly affect your taxes. If you're not making a ton of money, it really doesn't affect you as much. It really comes down to whether you're a business or not. And if you're a business, whether you're holding your stock or not, that can affect you greatly. And there are a lot of people I see who run a Kickstarter in like September. They print 1,000 books in December, not realizing that hits your taxes with no sales, and you have to absorb that. Again, that is if you're an LLC. If you're a private citizen, it's about what you sell versus anything else. But still, you're going to wind up holding on to books. Let's be realistic. It's one of the topics today is Comic-Cons. What's the earliest Comic-Con everyone in this room does? I know in Florida, we're lucky. We start in January, but there isn't a really good show until about March. So if I just printed 1,000 copies, I'm holding to 1,000 copies until at least the beginning of March when I start to move. What about the rest of you? And tell everyone where you're from, just so people get that geographic reference, and we'll go in order for this one. Go ahead, Crazy Man. Where are you from, and what's your earliest show of the year generally?
I am in New Jersey, and I haven't done a show. Usually my earliest show is February, but I haven't done a show in a while. I don't know if there's any shows coming around anytime soon. But I try to start in the beginning of the year with the smaller shows and build up to the bigger shows.
For this year, no, you don't. But New York, New Jersey area is very good with that. I grew up in New York, so I know it. Yeah, you could. It doesn't matter how cold it is. You have the thing over in Penn Station, which is in February, March, and it keeps going. Nassau. You don't see there aren't really big shows out in New York outside of New York Comic Con and the Big Apple. You really have the smaller shows, which is awesome. There's a ton of smaller shows. There's also some new ones that are starting up. New Jersey's got a host of them. They have the Garden City Expo that they use. No, not Garden City. What do they call it now? It's where Meadowlands was. They have a
Garden State.
Is it Garden State?
Yes. Yes. They used the Meadowlands name before, but I think it changed to Garden State.
It's Garden State, right? Yeah. Okay. Yeah. Garden City's actually in Long Island. All right, Michael. I know you're new. You haven't done a Comic-Con as a creator, but you've gone, right?
Yeah, well, that's the thing. We talked about this I've actually talked about this a couple of days with a couple of people. I'm in basically Baton Rouge, Louisiana. And you think because you have LSU here and it's a college town, one of my editors was asking, oh, well, you must have tons of cons and stuff that happen around there. We have none. Not one. And we have my comic book shop guys trying to put together something for this year around free comic book day in August, but we don't really have any. So any con that I can go to is either going to be in Lafayette or New Orleans, and New Orleans has their first con, which is Wizard World, at like the first weekend of January. It's like right after Christmas. It's like, really? I just don't think that's a great time to have it. But considering it's New Orleans, that might be the only time they can have it. and then you have one over in Lafayette. So everywhere I go, any con that I get to go to is about an hour away.
Well, why don't you, like, not even kidding around, why don't you reach out to LSU and see if they'd let you guys do something?
We're working on it. I'm working on it. There's a couple people.
I'm going to be doing that as soon as this all goes away. Even in a few weeks, we're talking about the local creators. We're talking about invading movie theaters if they come back the way they were. We're talking about local colleges, you know, and even because I'm pushing the children's ability to get into comic books, I want to get with schools and maybe do a library tour with creators from Florida and all that. So it's up to us too to get involved and to be part of the conversation and call up these campuses and ask them. You'd be amazed. Some of these campuses will give you the space for free because it gives something to their students, and you know their student body would like something like that, and they have the security already on staff. A lot of these things, you know, especially the first show, they won't charge you just to see what it is. And then the second show, they'll probably want to cut. And then, you know, you start an LLC if it works, and you go from there, you know. But I know a couple people who started that way where it was just nothing was there. And then now suddenly they're running giant events, you know.
Yeah.
The guy who does GalaxyCon, same thing. Started off real small. Huge now, huge. GalaxyCon's a big name, especially in Raleigh. Can't wait to get back. They just sold SuperCon to Reed Pop. He got a ton of money, reinvested it, and now he's out there making some great shows. And I met the guy. He's nice. He's a good guy. He's solid. You know what sucks about that? And JD, I think, will appreciate this. We knew about the sale for SuperCon a year ahead of when they announced it. But because as a creator, I want to have that reputation that I'm not going to spoil, and you don't want to piss off Reed Pop, because they're pretty big. I asked for official comment, and I was basically waved off of doing the story. So we sat on it for an entire year. You know, that sucks. But I think JD has seen one of the earlier videos where we hinted that it was a rumor that we really thought was going to happen. But I know JD's up in the city right now. How is the city doing this week? Is it snowing?
No, it's raining.
Oh, it's raining. Okay.
So it's just dreary.
Yeah, it's Florida too. It's weird. So you're up in New York.
Yeah.
You don't do a lot of shows though, right? You've kind of given up the show model.
Well, yeah, I've been just sticking to just Kickstarter and Indiegogo. We do a few small shows. We do Eternal Con, which is a great show. We do WinterCon, which is another great show. But those are probably the only two that we really do. We started just before this thing happened with C19. We started looking around. There are a lot of smaller shows being held in high schools and gymnasiums and stuff, and in libraries. So we started looking those. We did a couple of those, and those are fun. And we made you don't make a ridiculous sum of money, but you do make some money. So, but those are the things we were looking into, and we're thinking of going back to New York Comic Con. We don't know yet.
I think that'd be a great topic too, actually. What makes a show worth it? One of the biggest mistakes I made earlier in my career was I listened to people who said you have to go to comic cons to get noticed. This isn't necessarily true, especially nowadays, and the advice is bad. You don't have to go to shows necessarily. I do suggest out-of-town shows and local ones that are lucrative, but don't go if you only have one book by yourself. Team up with someone. Share tables. That is one of the biggest costs I took on for no reason early on, was trying to cover a table cost. And this goes back to the pricing of the book, because this is the point why I'm bringing it up. To go to a show for a full-color book, you have to price it as an indie creator between $5 and $10 because of all the overhead. And you have to try to make that money back. Just to break even with the table, especially with one book, is near impossible. And that's why the continuum is such a big deal that we've been talking about with Michael Lanning. For those in the room that don't know, what Terraform is doing is we're doing a book called The Continuum. If you know my work with The Advocator, it is similar, except I've done changes to it. One of the biggest changes is that I'm going to be helping creators create. So when you bring me the story, I like to start at the story level. Of course, there'll be exceptions because you can't change the landscape of comics if you're setting rules, right? You have to be willing to break all your own rules to do what's right for what's coming up. But I do want to be part of the editorial. We want to be there with the creators. We want to help them. We want to promote them. Now, the goal right now is 100 books. And I know that sounds lofty, but if you think about it, 100 comics is nothing in the industry. It really isn't. 100 issues, it's a milestone, but it's nothing huge. That's my goal right now. And every book will invite people to bring short stories in, and they'll be able to show their universes and all that. Now, the really cool thing is that, Michael, by the time he gets to go and doing some shows, we should have our second continuum out. He'll be able to take both continuums with him. So it gives him something to sell at his table. And the great thing about the continuum is, like I said, this is all about bringing different creators together. That means there's different stories. One of the best things in the Advocator is when someone showed up to my table, what do you like? And if they told me what they liked, I had something in the Advocator that I could probably sell to them. By the 10th issue of Continuum, no one will walk away from your table who's serious about buying comics. You will be able to sell one issue. And then that means every time you have the person in front of you and you're not making a sale, you can realize that's my salesmanship. I have to work on my pitches. I have to work on my approaches, and that'll help you grow. Because sometimes it is just that one book and no one's going to win. Like I have one book and this isn't for them. And you can't change that. That is just what it is. But it is true. Pricing your books are important. To JD's point, back in that circular fashion that ADHD minds work. So I have to sell between $5 and $10 a book, a 32-page book. This isn't something that is great for a comic book shop as a wholesale. So when you do have to go to a comic book shop, you have to really take a hit as a creator. But you also have to understand, and here's the important part, you are not paying all your overhead. You're not traveling. You're not buying a table. You're not doing that. Remember, when you're pricing your book, don't be greedy with the wholesaler. Don't be greedy with the local comic book shop or anyone who's doing it. My best suggestion to you is make sure you cover your printing costs, your shipping costs, and maybe get yourself $1 and call it a day per issue. Don't gauge them. Tell them what you sell it for, and that's it. Make sure that they pay the shipping. You don't pay the shipping. You recoup your cost, which, I mean, most times when you're not printing 1,000 like JD. And JD, those prices were based on black and white, right?
No, you can get color pricing at that. It depends what you're doing.
75 cents a book?
How much were you say?
Did you say 75 cents a book?
If you're printing like 3,000.
Oh, 3,000. No, I was talking about just 1,000.
Yeah, no. For black and white, yeah, that would be more around the range for black and white.
Yeah. And it's like $1.25 for color at about 1,000. And you don't get the shiny covers. You don't do all covers. Those are just standard. Just using that principle, really think about it. $1.25, your cover price is supposed to be. What do you do at your cover price at that, JD? $3.99 is your cover price?
No, these days $4.95.
$4.95.
Well, it depends. If I'm going offset, it would be $4.95. If I was going POD, it'd probably be $5.95.
Okay, so we'll call it $5 just for the math here. So if you're spending $1.25 to get it, factor in shipping $2. You're going to have to look at, well, what is this comic book shop going to want? Because I'm telling them to sell them for $4. Be realistic with that. Understand they have to make money, and usually the retailer makes more money than you do, because they're the ones with the overhead. So you do have to look at your print costs and be open to adjusting, especially when you're doing smaller runs and you're just getting to know someone, because if you can work with them, you'll be able to get more product out there. Remember, they're free advertising you. You don't realize that or not, but you being in a different place, you just bought ad revenue somewhere without paying for it. And if you're nice with the comic book shop and you're recouping just your printing cost on something, because I'll do that. I've done it where I've sold my books for printing cost just so I could get my book in another store. And then they call me when they run out, and they remember me, and they always are nicer to me because you've built that relationship. Do you guys agree with that?
Yeah, I mean, on some basis, I do. Also, one of the things that I want to let everybody know is like the 60-40 thing I was talking about is when you're going through a distributor. Normally, when you're dealing directly with a retailer, it's usually 50-50. So you make a little bit more money.
But in the beginning, you have to also be realistic that you might have to earn your spot, right, JD?
Oh, yeah, of course. It's always a thing about making that relationship. Because you're going to encounter some stores that will be real gung-ho with indies, and you're going to find some stores that are very skittish. And, and just remember, never call them on a Wednesday, Thursday, or Friday, just on a Monday or Tuesday.
Yeah, absolutely. So if we're done with the idea of just wholesaling, I do want to ask you guys about PDF file size real quick. Do you guys consider how big your PDF is or how small your PDF is when you're making it for your rewards for Kickstarter? I know everyone except Michael has ran one, so Michael's probably going to learn from this particular moment right now. He's going to be able to hear.
Yeah, I'm taking notes. See?
Yeah. This one's an interesting one. I've made this mistake a whole lot, actually, in my career. Only recently I'd stopped doing it when I started using InDesign. JD, I know you know the answer. So I'm gonna ask our crazy man if he considers the PDF file size.
Yeah. So if you're talking about the actual like megabytes size.
Yeah.
So I optimize my PDF files. So when I create the original for printing, I optimize the one for distribution on Kickstarter or for purchases on my website. So this way, I try to bring it down under 20 megs, between 12 and 20. So that way, there's a faster download and it doesn't take up too much space.
JD.
Well, Sam's right, but the thing is also I leave that sort of thing to the genius in the relationship. That's my wife, Daphne. She actually does the file prep. But yeah, she does try to keep them below 20 megs, because it just makes it easy to download for everybody.
Now, one of the things I was taught, and this is directly from a printer, comics persons out here in Cape Coral, if you use InDesign, there are different output settings. And he said that even the print size file, like what's good for them just to print, was half the size of what I was originally sending him. He's like, you're sending me like all your art, like I could make it a poster book with the image quality you're sending me. He's like, you can't send that out. And here's the thing that a lot of people don't realize. If you send that out, even the printer file one, people can now print your books. You've now given them. He said what you have to do is there's a setting just below print quality. You want to use that one on a screen, on a phone, on a computer thing. No one will ever notice it because it's lit up. You won't really notice a pixeling. But if someone tried to print it, you would see a quality diminish. Right. This is deliberate to stop anyone from taking your work. You want to go one step below. Originally, I thought, oh, it's not a big deal. I don't care who shares it. But I didn't realize Sam got it right away. You're sending them this giant file. They're like, what the hell am I downloading? The Library of Congress? To me, it's like, I'm giving you quality, baby. No, you want to be able to put it on your phone. You want to be able to quickly download it on your phone, even load it up on your phone. So I became very aware, but no one ever told me that. You know what? All the time I was doing comics, I had a couple friends who were like, your files are huge. I was like, I give quality, baby. We never realized like what I was doing because a lot of the comic stuff, we kind of show up and we're like, okay, I can make a PDF, right? How hard could this be? We go out, we learn with no one teaching us. We thumb it together. And my sister just texted me asking me how old my son is turning. And she's great with these things, but like it's funny because she's like, he's turning 6, right? And I'm like, yes. Like usually she's the one I'm calling up about because when it's not your kid, you don't know. Anyone who has kids in the rooms know that. Like you want to know your niece and nephew's age, but you look at them and you're like, where was I in life when you were born? But no, like, those PDF files, they matter. And no one talks about that in this industry. I've never heard that be a topic out loud. Have any of you?
No.
Right? Like these are the things.
This is the first time I've heard of it in any shows. And it's actually great information. Yeah, I wouldn't even thought of that. I would never have thought of that. I especially wouldn't have thought of the idea that they could print it themselves and just have a bootleg copy. That's kind of.
And it makes it really easy because they can literally just send that to a printer. Yeah, you've just given them everything they need.
Yeah, one of the things you can do is always, I think one of the things we did in the beginning, I don't know if that's what she's doing now, but we would just down-res the files, make sure they were 100 DPI.
Yep.
So, you can see them. They look great on screen, but, as long as they're like 72 DPI or beyond that, they look great on the screen, but you try to print them out, they look like trash.
Yep.
And that's typically where you want to keep it. So, but yeah, I know she does something with the files where, they're not really printable, but they look great on the screen.
You could also do a watermark if you guys want. There's ways to drop them where it doesn't interfere with the art, but if a printer goes to print it, they realize they can't if they're a reputable printer because they'll see the watermark. But yeah, these are topics that I was like, when I was younger, I wish someone had talked to me about, like even going to shows. Don't go to shows if you have one book. That's a bad idea. Don't go to bigger shows. Because back, JD remembers this, it used to be like to go to a show meant you were breaking in.
Yeah.
It was like a status symbol. That's not true anymore thanks to crowdfunding. It's simply no longer true. There are other avenues, and I think it's one of the worst things. Would you agree with that, JD? Did you feel like when we were coming up, there was a lot more push to be at shows?
Yeah, well, what's funny is I was started off early enough that there was just me and maybe a handful of other indie creators.
No, I remember 20 years ago. I've been around that long.
Yeah. No, I'm talking about 30 years ago.
All right, I was around, but I wasn't creating. I was around though.
Yeah,
I was on tablets.
That was the day. That was the time of Kinko's copies.
Right. Now, I mean, the funniest thing. Well, it's funny and sad all at the same time. Is this, when I'm pretty sure all you guys seen it. You go to a show, you see a group of guys piled up behind a table. They're all looking kind of miserable, and you look behind them. They have a banner, and they have like 5,000 cases of books behind them. And they're like, you walk up to them, you're like, "Hey guys, how's it going?" They're like, it's and I'm like, "Yeah, we got our first book," and blah blah blah. And maybe you'll pity buy the book, and but they literally bought one book, had it sent from the printer to the show, and they made 5,000 of them, and they're having a hard time selling it, and it's just like, dudes, it's like I've seen this over and over again, not just from one group of guys. I've seen it just over and over again. And it's one of the things that, that Rob was talking about, don't go with just one book. And also, if you're going to go to that show, no matter how poorly you're doing, have the mentality that you're going to sell that book.
And also, you have to think, I'm not just here to sell. Like, this is one thing about tables. Now, someone who's aggressively relaxing says to us that going to a show is still viable for them because they're gorgeous. Well, this right here, and I have my brand up. This isn't gorgeous. So I got to hustle my ass off, okay? Some of us have to work for our money, all right? We're on the pole. We're doing what we have to do. But no, kidding around aside, I make money at shows. I cover the expenses I have to. I'm at the point where I have a library. Once I started to have a library, shows changed. The way that I could go to a show, the profitability, the bundling, the different stuff. One of the worst things I did, though, in the beginning, I had one book, so how was I going to make money? T-shirts. Horrible fucking idea. You know, and it takes a while because, like, no, and this is why I want to do like what topics aren't we exploring, because they don't help you. It takes a while to come up with like a hit T-shirt. Like, I actually do have the hit T-shirt, the Free Hugs and Spanks. People love it. I can sell that one. Even comic book advocates were okay, but it takes a while to understand your designing, your marketing, what people like, what they don't. You buy, and like what JD's talking about, you buy 3,000 copies. You have all those boxes in the background, and then you find a typo, and then you find that you screwed something up. Especially your first comics. I can't tell you. God bless you. My sister sneezed. You can't tell you how many times first time comics I rip out an error, and people are so mad, and they're mad because they have 3,000 shitty copies. It's happened to me. I've found a mistake in almost every book I've printed that was very early on. I've gotten a lot better where there aren't, like, there'll be a typo here and there, and that happens with Marvel and DC. The mistakes I'm talking about are like, you're like, you son of a, and you can't unsee it, right? The minute you know there's a mistake in the book, even if no one else knows about it, you know it's there. So that's why I always suggest to people, especially when you're brand new, not only have an editor and have other people look at it before you print it, and they're going to miss things too. It just happens. That's human. That's why Marvel and DC has mistakes. But don't print 3,000 unless you have the market for 3,000 yet, You have to, because you don't know what'll sell. I mean, the worst thing going to a show, and JD knows what I'm talking about with this, is you show up at a show and you don't know what the fans are going to think about it. It could be the best book ever, but if you're not connecting with the right base, it doesn't matter what you're selling.
So what's a good quantity to start with when you're unknown? Like how many should you get?
With print on demand, I suggest 100.
Yeah, it's a safe bet.
Yeah, 100 and see how they sell. I'll tell you the truth. Because here's the cool thing. With print on demand, the one thing we didn't talk about was the alternate cover or cover stock. See, I use a thicker cover stock. So when I say my book is $10, no one balks at it because it has that nice cover. It has alternate covers. I change up the covers where we only print like 1,000 of one cover, and then I bundle them. And when I bundle them, this is why having so many books, you can have this one for 10 or all 4 for 25. You just made a sale because you've given them an incentive to buy more. And obviously, for me, my goal of going to be at a show or even being a comic book creator has always been to get people to read my books. I don't care about money. You would know that if you looked at my bank account. I don't care about the money. I care about people reading my stuff and getting excited about my stuff. So my goal has always been get them to buy the 4 copies. So I even price my books accordingly. And I've had people who are like, oh, I just want to buy this one for $10 because of the cover. So you take your $10, and you go on about your life because they're just going to get it for the cover, and that's fine. But like what JD was saying, you have to be realistic with what you're doing. Don't get 3,000 of a brand new book that you had 10 people read that were all your friends. When I put out my fetish book, I actually gave it to people I knew who thought I was kind of weird, but were still friends with me, but didn't really want to have conversations about it with me, like were shy. And I asked them as a favor to me, please read this book. Because I knew if I could get them to say it was good, knowing they were uncomfortable with it, I knew it was good. And you have to do that. You have to give it to your bigger sister who will rip you apart for anything that's wrong in the book. And you have to be ready to take the beating because they're looking out for you. Don't give it to your friend who's going to be like, oh my God, Jimmy, you did awesome. Jimmy, I'm so proud of you, Jimmy. And then 5 minutes later, you see Jimmy's fucking book. Oh my God, what a train wreck. That shit, I'm telling you, when the toilet paper runs out again, I know what I'm using, his copy. You don't want friends like that because they mean well. But a real friend looks at your stuff and rips it down.
That's what I love about. That's what I love about my wife, whatever, or also known as Nita Lanning. She will definitely be honest with me, even when I don't want her to be. So.
Yeah, and also some of this has to do with timing. Can you hear me?
Yeah, you're good.
Yeah.
You're
okay.
good.
Yeah, some of it has to do with timing. I mean, going back to the thing Rob was saying about T-shirts, we used to do T-shirts back in the day, and we would order, I don't know, probably about 10 dozen or so at a time. And we did one for Tall Tales, and it had our lead character on the front, Ravenwood, and had his sword, had blood on it. In the back, it had a saying that he would always say in the comic book, death to all those who oppose the cause. And it was in blood red. And then we had done, a bunch of those. And then Columbine happened. And it was just, not a good look at a show, to have those there. And those shirts, we were selling maybe one a show. But then so we had them for a while. Then about 5 years later, I guess a break happened. And we were selling dozens of those shirts at a time at shows. It was crazy. So I don't know. But yeah, it took 5 years for that stigma to pass over. So timing is important.
Oh, I just had to not cancel the comic, but we were halfway through issue number 1. We had to stop. Mm-hmm. I won't go into it. I'll just say that recent events came really close to what I was creating. And it was like an oh my God moment. Like I'm the writer on the book and not the creator. So the creator started texting me. He's like, it's coming true. Everything you wrote is coming true. Everything we're talking about. How do we handle this? We had to have a real meeting about it. Like JD's right. And I'll handle it by skipping the story up about 2 years, and everything we were going to do will be in reference only and vague references, and we might go back and do the other issues. It sucks. It really does. Sometimes you have to sit on something for a while because it's just not the right timing. You have to be adult enough to understand that. I've said it. I think zombie books are in for a lot of trouble coming out of this. Going forward, I don't see the zombie book market being good anymore. I don't even see I think cyberpunk stuff is going to have some trouble just because of the cyberpunk movie and the negative press that game that just came out. And you have to watch that. And if you think that you shouldn't be affected by that, you're crazy. You have to understand that. When I first released my fetish book, I knew 50 Shades of Grey was coming out. And it was good because the worst movie ever I could make fun of. Now I'm a little more distant from it. And it when I say, oh, it's like 50 Shades of Grey, except it's written by an adult who knows what they're talking about. There's a certain group that's now showing up that might not really know what I'm talking about because we're a couple years removed. It's crazy like that. Just a few years can change how your books even sell. So you have to be ready for that. This industry does not suffer fools and does not wait for you to figure your life out. You have to. It's okay to try to set the curve. I love what the Crazy Man did over there with the podcast and the comic book about that's clever. It's funny. It's going to be books like that this year that I think Oswald Chronicles are going to be great. People are going to want some more light and cheery stuff. And how do I know this? Because I had a friend go, well, how could you know that, Rob? This isn't the first time we've been through this in even modern history. 100 years ago, we went through the Spanish flu. Spanish flu was in 1918. Can anyone describe to me what the 1920s were referred to as?
The roaring.
The roaring, yeah.
The roaring 20s. Once everything started to get to go back to normal, humans went out and they partied their asses off. Until the stock market crashed, it was one of the biggest, brightest times. People came out of that wanting to celebrate. You have to, as a creator, kind of even with political stuff, I don't see political books doing well the rest of the year. I think people have gotten to the point where they're just sick of politics now. After everything that's happened, I think people want normalcy again. I think people just want calm shit. Like everyone's nerves are on the edge. Like this is that we haven't teetered this much on the edge since the Cuban Missile Crisis, where every day you're terrified to turn on the television. The fuck did they do today? You know, that's what a lot of people think. Like shit. You know, I used to tease people that I don't do horror. I do CNN. Now I'm even afraid to do CNN. I might go back to horror. I don't know, man. That shit's too crazy. I'm just gonna watch someone get killed. That's so much more easier to watch.
Yeah.
All right, so
well, can I ask? Okay, you're talking about T-shirts, selling T-shirts at the table. Everything. What's a good incentive to have, like stickers or magnets? What's a cost-effective incentive to have at your table?
The simple, and JD can correct me if he thinks I'm wrong. The simplest thing is what people will buy, and you'll never know what people will buy until you put it out on the table. You'll put a magnet out there, and then your neighbor is giving away magnets for free. So you're trying to sell a magnet while your neighbor's giving one for free. Now you look like a shitheel. And it's how much they want it too. Like you might love your logo. Like, oh, you kidding me? I'll give you a perfect example. That image behind me, people love that image. People stop, take photos of it all the time. I put it on a T-shirt. But then on the T-shirt, I also put, at the time, the title was Fetish Babies. So I put Fetish Babies on it. People wouldn't buy the shirt because it said that. They would have bought the shirt if it was just that single image. But I was like, but I want it as marketing stuff. And like, that's the early, like you trip on yourself. You kind of almost hurt yourself. And I realized later, very small print, you can put at the bottom a website, a URL at the bottom of the image, which wouldn't be huge. And, you know, that's problematic. Perfect. Even for the free hugs and spanks thing, I sell buttons of that. People don't care. I sell them for like $1. People buy them all the time. I've sold, I think, 100 buttons already of free hugs and spanks. So that one sells. And that was a pissed off moment at a show, just to tell you how it was. I've told this story and I'll tell it again. I was at a show in Virginia, and I had that image up behind me. I had Barbara up there, and I had, at the time, we were going under Written Sins instead of Comic Book Advocates. So I had this one banner where the top was like a horror thing and the bottom was Barbara. So people assumed that I guess she was being tortured. It was like snuff stuff. So I had people like literally saying probably the worst shit I've ever heard said to me. And it was really upsetting, personally upsetting, because one of the reasons I made the fetish book, for those who don't know, is I want to advocate that people don't understand the fetish community. They're real human beings. They're not the monsters that most things make them out to, and they're not the joke they were. I wanted to show the middle ground, you know, the honest truth of it. Because you've seen that, even with the homosexual community and the LGBTQ, the more that people showed what it was really like, the more accepting people became about it. So this really upset me. I'm sitting there. I'm pissed, but you're at a show. You can't fire back, right? The worst thing you can do is fire back at a show. And I'm clever enough. I've got a witty tongue. I could rip them up. But you can't, because then you get asked to get kicked out of the show, especially if you're far from home. Virginia's not a time to start a fight on day one. And this was day one on a 3-day show. So I did what I could. I had one of those light-up signs. Remember, JD, 3 years ago, the light-up signs were like the hugest thing in the cons?
Yeah.
Yeah.
It was kind
So-
of funny. They
Yeah. Oh, real quick. But I had one of them. So it said like buy support indie comics, I think, or meet the indie advocate, because at that point I was already getting called the indie advocate. It was like a generic shit. So I was so pissed. I was like, fuck this. So I ripped the thing off and I put free hugs and spanks. And I put it up, I lit it up, and it was like a bat signal. I made my table within 2 days with it's still only having 3 books. That's how good that worked. And it shut people up because the same people being like snooty giggled at the sign. It suddenly became funny. The humor, that humoristic moment, lowered the snark and the nastiness of people. And to this date, I've had show promoters come up to me and be like, I want to say something about your sign, but I can't because it doesn't violate anything. All it is, and you guys can probably see it in the corner, I'll show it. All it is a giant free hugs and spanks sign. That doesn't do it. Like, it doesn't violate anything. And I've had people like, what about the kids who see it? I'm like, if your kid knows the joke I'm telling, you have a bigger problem than you realize. Your kid's into some shit. Depending how young they are, therapy might be needed because they've seen some shit they shouldn't have.
So I promise they'll go for the hugs. They'll know what.
Yeah. And I've had like moms come up to me and be like, see, I'll get him to spank you. And I'll be like, no, ma'am, you maybe, but not your kids. And you should see the mom turn bright red and the little kid's like, ah, mommy's going to get spanked now. But yeah, just having that fun moment with people. And so to answer your question, I'm going to let JD, because I know he has the experience too. I want to hear from JD, but you don't know. That was a pissed off moment that literally changed the trajectory of that book from trying to just be like, hey, would you be willing to hear my book about fetish? I swear it's not what it sounds like, to just putting up a giant sign that says free hugs and spanks and people coming up to me. Okay, tell me about, why do you have that sign? They ask me to talk about it. I don't have to pitch to them. I get to have the conversation. You see how that like changed the trajectory, and you'll never know that till you go to the show. What about your experiences, JD?
Well, I know for myself, like, you'll never like what Rob said, you're never going to know what's going to sell until you drop it on the table. The only thing I would ever advise is just don't put a lot of money into it, or as little as you can, and just put some out there. We had some buttons, these little 1-inch buttons that we had done with Oswald on them, and we were selling them for 50 cents, and we were at an anime show. So the kids don't have a lot of money. We had 50-cent books that we had, like, just old backstock, and we had these 50-cent buttons, and we just put them out there. And I think we made our table. We made our table back in singles, just in dollar bills, because the kids would come up and they would literally buy 2 books and 2 buttons, and we ended up with this huge pimp knot of singles. And it was kind of funny because at that type of show, it worked out very well. So you never know what's going to sell where, because we couldn't sell our graphic novels, so they were $10, $15, $20 each. But the single books, the 50-cent books and 50-cent buttons, you know, we made back our table, and it was worth it just for that.
Yeah, and you have to understand where you're going, and I'm sure JD knows this. The areas matter where you're setting up. Mm-hmm. Knowing and I tell people all the time, look up the town. One of the things that I learned is, you ever see that show, the Bar Fix show with John Tapper, Bar Rescue.
Bar Rescue, yeah.
Bar Rescue, yeah. So I watch Bar Rescue. He always pulls up the local median, the age of the area. Those 2 things, those demographics, can really help you understand, first off, who you're going to be seeing.
Yeah.
You know, Pittsburgh was one of those towns where they really like art. Raleigh, North Carolina really loves art. Middle income, the salt of the earth people, like amazing. Like, I mean, I love those areas. I go to Miami, which is supposed to be artistic, and it's the snootiest people in the world are there, and they have the money, and they will be the ones who will stop and go, oh, $5 for a comic book for 32. I don't know. It's a lot. While they're holding a giant Thanos poster that we all know that artist spent 75 cents to print.
Mm-hmm.
Now, the markup on those things are insane, and you look at them like, oh, you're an idiot. You really, like, I'm offering you 32 pages in a story, and you got a pretty picture that will be worth nothing because that artist can't reproduce it. They can't, even if they sign it, it's illegal because it's trademark infringement. So you never know what the pricing is going to be on these things, but knowing the area, it does help. Because if you see that there's a lot of snooty stuff, I'll be honest with you, if there are a lot of museums around, you're going to struggle as a comic book creator because they're going to come in and be like, try to look down on you. It's better like C. Michael Lanning. And you do have to pick a name. I'm with Nita. I trip over your name all the time.
I'm good with C. I'm good with C.
I'm going to start doing that. But no, if you go to places that don't have a lot of college campuses and a younger vibe, you have an uphill battle. So that's good to know how that area looks. One of the better shows I ever did was Savannah Comic-Con because it was so close to SCAD. So there were all these college students, they're art students, as a matter of fact, from SCAD, which is the art school, which is huge. They don't have a lot of money, but they come in and they support you. So you have to be willing to make deals at shows like that. And sometimes you have to take the hit. You have to know because, and again, it's about what you're there for. I'm always there for readers, so I will make deals. Some people are there for the business end. They won't make a deal at all. They'll sell you their $35 alternate cover, and they'll sell it to you $35. That's it. Well, what if I buy everything on your table? You make it less than $35? No, it'll be $35. That's everyone's different thing. To me, I adjust, but also, $35 alternate cover people are usually the people who have a big enough name that it doesn't matter. That they'll buy that. They came to buy that book, So I'm not trying to dissuade or even talk nasty about it. I'm just saying you have to know not only who you are, where you are, but also what you can get. You know what I mean? Like you have to understand the market. You have to do that work. And like JD says, you never know. You go to that one show and suddenly I've gone to shows where my Monsters book wouldn't sell. I've given it away for free and people have handed it back to me. And I love that book, but it's just a different art form. So because it's like it's all watercolors and all that stuff, and it's weird for a comic book because the style's different. I love it, but again, some shows it doesn't sell. You go to one show and suddenly that outsold the fetish book, which never happened. I had never had the fetish book outsold, even by the Advocator. Never happened. The monster book outsold it. When I started to sell Cat Dad and Supermom because I'm marketing the book. That was one that sold well too, and it was another one that could go on its own. So you don't know, you really don't. Because I thought Monsters would be the easiest book, honestly. See, it's a Monsters book. Everyone loves Monsters. Slap Monsters on, and they're gonna love it. And I do have some Monster fans who just buy it. Oh, it's about monsters. I'll get it. Do you want another pitch? No, I'm good. Just I want the monster. I'm a Monster fan. That's it. You'll get them, but again, it's waves. Like if you put out a Godzilla or like a giant reptile this year with Godzilla coming out versus Kong, your book will sell well. Anyone with a giant lizard is going to have a great year in their book because people are going to see Godzilla. And you have to look at that trend. Pay attention to what's releasing, what movies are coming out, what could be hot. The Matrix is coming out, so trippy stuff's going to be back in. That Cyberpunk will be saved by Matrix by the end of the year.
Maybe.
Yeah, that's a good. Yeah, that's a good chance.
I'd like to hear from Sam because Sam's sitting there, he's all quiet, but that dude's a hustler. If you ever seen him at a show, that dude is a hustler. So, yeah, I'd like to hear what Sam has to say about this.
Well, I think there's truth to everything you said with regards to timing and location because it all depends. But like JD said, I work the crowd. You got to work the floor and you work the crowd, and you got to try to build momentum. When there isn't any. There was only one time where we just we had a good show in Pittsburgh Comic-Con. We went back the following year, which was a big mistake because we didn't realize that it was George Perez's last comic. He was retiring event, and our table was directly in blocked by the line that was lined up to see him and get all this stuff autographed. But so that was the only time we really didn't even make one sale. It was just murder. But I think you have to build momentum and you have to see what works. I mean, you don't know the taste of the audience. We had a shirt, "There's an Alien in My Toilet" t-shirt that would sell hand over fist, but we couldn't sell the buttons, which was the same logo. So we had to give those buttons away. So what I normally do is I have a folder with print options. And so what I do is we do like a survey. We see what appeals to people, and that's what we print the most of. But every location is different. Baltimore Comic Con, they would gravitate to a book that we had called Street Journal. And Pittsburgh Comic Con, it was designated on my toilet. So every place is different, which is why you should have more than one book, because you can just die a painful death. But I think you got to hustle. I think leading up to the event, you have to hustle. Try to work with the convention promoters and make sure that you're visible in their program guide, or make sure you understand. You look at the floor map and you select where you're being placed. You're not just given a spot. That's part of the process. And that it's in a line of sight in a trafficked area where you're going to be visible, and you have to stand and work the floor, and that's you just can't assume they're just going to come to you because you're competing. Yeah, it's a live competition. The way I look at it is, it's a game. It's a live competition, and there's a lot of options. What's going to make you different, and what's going to be different is personality and likability. You have to connect with them to get them over to trust to look at your product and sell them on your pitch. So that I think the pitch is critical.
Now, Sam, I think you've been through this. I've gone through this. Have you ever been had your table placed in between the bathrooms or close to a bathroom?
Yes, it was at Wizard World Chicago. That wasn't even it. They placed us. Now we were an all ages book, and they placed us in an area with adult film stars. by the bathrooms, away from everybody, and so it was. We really had to hustle over there because we had to convince people to come over, because parents didn't want to bring their kids over when you seen all these girls with these bikinis, and it was that was rough.
I just bring it up because one year we were placed close to a bathroom. And, at first we were like, oh, we're going to die in this spot. We're just going to die. But there's so much foot traffic that we were actually able to make money. So,
you talk to them because that line is there. And you start talking to them, and then you get when I come back out, I said, all right. And then when you see them, yo, I'm waiting.
You gotta be careful. Don't talk to the person running in. Don't be the guy. Hey, buddy, real quick. No, you waiting to come out. Good one. Have you washed your hands? Good. Come on over.
Yep. Money's filthy. It doesn't matter.
Yes, I know. I was using hand sanitizer. Let me tell you, when I was at a show, I already thought C19 had hit the way I treated things. Everyone's hand I shook. That was it. Hand sanitizer. I would go home and bathe in it.
No, I'm a huge fan of the fist bump.
Yes. Yeah. I actually like the fist bumps going forward.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Yeah. Huge fan of the fist bump. Yeah, I think there was one year where Daphne and we were sitting. You know how Sam was talking about you end up with that line in front of you with we had George Perez. We had the creator of Ghost Rider a few tables down from us, and we had his line literally cut in front of our table. And Daphne had gotten so upset that she was like, back it up, you want to see Ghost Rider? And she would just start drawing these little doodles of Ghost Rider, and the dudes literally stopped and they were like, yo, how much is that? And she just kept drawing. I think she was selling for like $20 or $30 a pop. And she ended up selling a bunch of those because at first she literally got into an argument with one guy, and then he saw it and he was like, how much is that? And so, so sometimes you just have to take advantage of that line however you can.
Yeah, and sometimes your comics are not going to sell, and it's good to be an artist, because I was at a con where I wasn't moving any product, but I was moving commissions, and so it was, luckily I had all of my sketch cards, I had my wood pieces that I would do commissions on, and people were just buying them left and right, and that's how I made my table. But I didn't sell a book, which is crazy.
Yeah,
and we should mention Meredith had said that, and we're going to do some topics in just a second. But Meredith had actually just said that she is Still driving, so we're going to see her in a few minutes. And where she's driving to, we want to give out some love. It's a little late if you're not in Florida, but if you are in Florida, especially up near Jacksonville and Daytona, there is a show going on right now. Our friends Roland Mann, Brent Larson, John Crawford, and Jay Magnum are all hanging out there. You guys can check them out. This is a pretty cool show. It's one that's going on, man. It's happening. So it's today, 10 to 4. Hopefully we can get Meredith there signing in and show us what's going on. We're excited. We're hoping for that. So pretty exciting stuff. But I do want to switch topics a little bit after our comment section, but let's do some comments real quick. We're a little late on it, so some of these things I'm going to be passing up just because they might not fit where we are in the conversation now, but this one was funny. He's a virgin. He's getting ready to give himself away. Oh, see. Oh, shucks.
Yeah, poor kids. So.
Hey, I don't judge.
So you get it by kissing, right? That's
right. There's a star. There's a giant bird brings kids. I've seen it since I was a kid. That's how I was explaining.
Yeah, but she really likes to call. Yeah, she likes to call herself my pimp. So she pimps me out trying for my comics. So
I mean, like a true pimp. No, she's a virgin. She ain't been touched before. My comic White Lily will be available at your local comic book store on the second Wednesday in February. And it says, I want to reply, but no, this is a semi-formal chat, so being good but really hard. No, there's no formal. This is Sunday Comics Brunch. It's like going out to brunch with your friends, except they're recording us, and I'm sure someone will get pissed at us and send me an email, and I'll just ignore it. So it's all good. But go away. Nita says, yes, that's why Gaurav has a disclaimer. Exactly. If I could wake up every morning and have that played for the world that I'm going to interact with, it would be so much easier. You're going to run into Rob today. We just want to play this for you, just so you know what you're in store for. And our friend Mike is in the house. He says, Trish went in for her happy workday. Got me now. Up and jiggy. Get jiggy with it. Oh, man. Welcome to it, Mike. And imagine selling to an 18-year-old is far different than selling to a 60-year-old. Not if they're fans. I'll say that. The one thing in common is if they're a fan of comics, they're easy to sell to. It doesn't matter the age group. That's where your story comes in your art. Because some people will buy your books based on art. I mean, recently, JD has had some amazing covers popping out. That one with, I forgot what I think it's the Queens one, where where Oswald is caught up in that green thing, and it just looks awesome.
Yeah, it looks fantastic.
And that'll covers. I can't express to you guys enough. I see so many people putting out horrible freaking covers. Those, yes, there it is. Look at that. We'll blow it up.
Yeah.
There you go. Yeah. That is awesome. And that'll stop people at a show. That is one of those moments. And you need covers like that. You need covers that stop people at a show. And I'm not talking that you have to show nipples and ass. That's not what I mean by a good cover. A good cover like this was never supposed to be a cover. Here, let me see if I can bring her in a bit. So Barbara like this was never actually supposed to be a cover. This was just a page. That stops people in their tracks. There's nothing about it. You don't even see boobs in it. Yet that stops people in their tracks. All you do is see two girls about to kiss. That's enough. I'm telling you, like, I've seen people stop, like, on a dime, just like, ooh, what's that? So the right imagery, the right art is gonna matter. And that's just, comics are an artistic medium. You have to understand that. Be ready to go with that. All right, so let's see. Here we go. Also, selling single guys or girls, couples, and groups or friends can be different. Oh, I've had problems with this. Yeah. Because my book's a fetish book. When a guy is there, there's a jealousy thing. When I'm talking to his girl about fetish, you could see the guy sometimes gets a little upset. And it doesn't help, and this is one of the things one of my friends taught me, is when I wear tank tops, because I dare go to the gym and my arms aren't spaghetti noodles, I apparently make other guys jealous, and I was like unaware of this even being a thing. So I thought we were dudes. Like, dudes are cool with each other. No, we're catty little bitches, it turns out. Because when I put on a shirt or in a tie, they don't care. I can put on a shirt and tie and literally flirt with their women in front of them, but because I have a shirt and tie on, it doesn't, like, right over their head. But if I show off some tattoos and some arms, it is there. So you do have to adjust. Have you guys noticed that there's a different pitch based on gender, age group? Do you guys kind of try to aim for different areas? Because I mean, it's an important question.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, it's definitely different when you're pitching to a younger crowd. Like I said, with the Oswald Chronicles and Tall Tales, it's easier pitching to a younger crowd. It's also a thing of styles when it comes down to like covers and who you're selling to. Like I noticed, like the cover that Rob was talking about, this cover will sell to a more mature crowd. Whereas I have, like, if you look at the piece underneath it, that's done by a different artist, that's a regular artist, Jade Gonzalez. This piece, you know, will sell to a younger crowd, which is kind of funny, you know. But and then there's some that'll just, they don't care, they'll just buy the one. So it's, you know.
And you don't learn that until you're out there, guys.
Yep.
That's what we keep trying to, like, try something in small quantities. I always suggest that, especially, like, I mean, you have Kickstarter doing the 100s nowadays. Make a one-off, 100 prints of that. You could always put it out as a virgin, and then if it sells well, put a logo on top of it.
Yeah.
You know, like, always be willing to experiment. That's all comics are. Comics are the biggest experiment that continues to go on, where the formula is always being changed. Now, you change Coke, everyone loses their damn mind, and it's a big problem. The nation comes to an end. You make Batman change a little bit on his costume, you turn him black, and people were like, There's more room to play in comics. Now, if you made Batman a woman, forget it. Forget it. There would be some hurt feelings. There'd be a lot of problems. Don't turn them into women, guys. That's the thing. You can turn a woman into a man. I've never heard anyone complain about that. To this date, not one person has been like, I can't believe they turned that female character into a male character. And then when I ask people, no one can give me a reference to someone who's been changed gender in reverse. So no one in the room. I can see the looks on everyone's faces. They're like,
no. Wait, you mean a male character turned to a female character?
No, a female character turned into a male. I know you could rattle off. I know. I see Michael Lanning got the list in his head. He's like, Thor, Iron Man. Yeah, my sister just shouted out Battlestar Galactica as a perfect example of a male to female character that worked really well and went over really well. And it happens, and that's the great thing, experimenting. And, you know, sometimes the waves make it so people are buying books, and that's what we're here for, right, guys? Sell comics. And speaking of selling things, Nina says she's a sucker for stickers, which, yeah, stickers are popular, believe it or not. But they're hard to sell because the format of cons is give stickers away. So again, you have that neighbor who's there, and you see the people who have like Harry Potter and all like the stickers, and you know they're not officially licensed, and they sell them. But then you feel like a shitheel when you try to sell yours. You're like, I don't know, it's like $1, I think. You can just have it. Forget it. Don't even ask. You're just giving it away. Because you're there to sell comics a lot of times. That's the one hard thing. Like when I have T-shirts at my table, I forget to even mention them because I'm there to sell comics. And I know friends who have like, it looks like they're more at a heavy metal concert than they are at a Comic-Con because they have T-shirts, they have like buttons, pins, Funko Pops, they have it all. And it's funny because their comics have like 1/10 of the table and everything else is on the table. I know JD's invested in some action figures too.
Yeah. That's, you know, that's.
There we go.
Let me pull this guy down. There we go.
There you go.
Oh my gosh, that's awesome.
Yeah.
Right? That's a really
awesome.
cool one.
Yeah, and he's semi-posable. His little arms move.
That's all right. He'd go on my shelf and never move. So
yeah.
But yeah, that is awesome.
Yeah. If anybody is willing to give up a vehicle, an expensive one, you can get one of these too. So you know, it's actually easier today to get them because you have 3D printing and that sort of thing.
All right, so we got her thing. Here's the I buy magnets. Mike says I buy magnets almost every con because they are cheap, and I like to get something for friends that couldn't go, and that's awesome. That is always cool. Magnets. The one problem I have with magnets is the fact that they are magnets. You're always worried about what you're putting your stuff next to. because you don't want to put your phone next to a magnet. I still do them, but I'm always so nervous about them, especially because, and I'm going to give everyone a beautiful idea here. Okay, who here sells pins in the room or will sell pins? Want to do a pin? I know I do.
Yeah, I know I'm getting one soon.
You're not doing one, Sam? No pins?
Well, this is my first time coming back into the world. I'm doing stickers, pinups, and comics right now.
Fair enough.
I'm playing it safe.
Smart. So pins. What's the biggest problem with a pin? People don't want to ruin their shirts, right? Magnet, pin. They now don't have to damage their shirt. They can wear your product, and you can sell the magnet for about $1 with the pin, and there you go. Yep. And the whole idea that I came up with that was simply because my things, God bless you, my shirts were getting ruined because Jax would also pull on the pins. And I was watching Star Trek, just randomly watching Star Trek, and I was like, they're hitting their comms, and I'm like, they must be using a magnet to keep that in place because they can pull the comms off at times in the middle of the show, you know, and take them off. Oh, that's got to be magnet. I was like, ooh, that's brilliant. That's what I'm going to do with my pins from now on. So I gave you something for free today just for watching the show. But yeah, buy magnets, support people. It's a good way to, like, that $1 could really matter. Like when someone hasn't had one sale all day and someone buys that, you're on the board. The worst are days you can't make sales. I hate days like that, no matter what. I've been at a 4-day MegaCon where I did great, and then for some reason, no, it was Thursday I did great, Friday nothing. Don't know why, just could not sell a thing. Couldn't sell a virgin to a disgusting human being if I had her. Just one of those days where no matter what I could do, it'd never work. I couldn't pimp anything out. And then Saturday was fine, and then Sunday was fine. Same show, one day just horrible. That's why I don't like 4-day shows. There's always one bad day at a 4-day show. Like you always have that one, and it's not like a slow day, it's a shitty day. And in all fairness, that Friday it was raining like cats and dogs outside too. It wasn't just me that was suffering. But that's your whole day. That's why a lot of times I write now at shows. So if you ever come by my table and I'm typing, I'm not answering my Facebook messages most likely. I'm actually writing. Because damn it, if you artists can sit there and draw, then I can sit and write.
There you go.
All right. I freaking love her. I don't know who Nita, but cool.
Talk about Daphne.
Oh, okay. I was like, ooh, okay. I didn't know if it was Meredith because Meredith had also said a comment above there in a few.
I think she was to the ghostwriter.
Oh, the ghostwriter. Yeah, okay, gotcha. That makes sense now. Thank you, Rob. It was getting hard dealing with all his personalities, right? I mean, in some ways, it's just interesting. I mean, really, dude, get it together.
Hey, y'all was the one that gave me the name. I had a name before I started all this streaming stuff.
And we have, I loved when Thor was a lady. A lot of men didn't. I'll tell you right now, there was a lot of men who didn't like that at all.
Yeah, we're going to get that argument again coming up.
To this date, you mentioned female Thor, and there's like, I would say 1/5 of men. It is one of the most contentious things I've seen. Like you mentioned female Thor, and it's why does the Hammer still say it will grant him powers? And I was like, no, they changed that. Look in the comic, and they look it up, and you see their hearts break. That's her now.
No problem with the frog being Thor, but if it's a woman,
Billy Ray, dude, that's fine. Gave him his own thing.
Yeah, right.
Wait till the movie comes out. Okay, here's Nita. I was referring to Daphne. Lady's response to the con JD mentioned. She is my spirit animal. All right. So speaking of con tables, one of the things that we did, and this is for all you guys watching, this isn't a huge topic, so we won't spend much time on it, but we switched indie event to be a brand new concept called the ComiX Con. Here we go. The ComiX Con table. So notice this is right here when you first go to it, it says sell something. I want you guys to list your comic books. I want one place where we're listing comics. Please don't do what these people are doing, where they're putting it underneath this, where I said we have a new format. Do this instead. Make your own thread. And the cool thing about this is it also puts it into your local marketplace. So your local Facebook marketplace will represent your book is on sale. It allows you to put up the cost, if you notice right here. I suggest doing like me, an image of everything, or a cover. See, now, if you want to do your covers, that's fine. Do a cover, but it has to be about there. Don't show a picture of you in front of your table with your hands open where no one knows what they're buying. You know what I mean? And give a link so someone can check out your work. Have it be a site or even a fan page. Fan pages are free on Facebook. And this year, one of the things, ironically, I'm going to focus on is trying to stay on Facebook with a lot of promotion. The reason I'm doing that is Facebook is basically killing outside sites now. If you haven't noticed yet, and I know JD has seen this, you can't promote outside things. I don't know JD's seen it because he now posts his art and then puts his link in the bottom after he's posted his art, because he knows if he puts it in the body of the text, the original concept, you'll never see it again. If you guys notice, when I used my branding today and I did this, I drew a picture. Why? Because pictures aren't being monitored by algorithms right now. I can write anything I want in here, and so far, the Facebook algorithm, give it some time, but for now, can't read these things because I didn't type it on their server. When you make your own of those backgrounds, you're putting in words that the AI understands. So when you put up word like crowdfunding, and even if you spell it wrong, because I tried to replace the O's with zeros, it knew. And I've been monitoring this quietly for 6 months. I have been deliberately playing with the system to see what works. The pictures are working better. These pictures are getting more traction because they're getting downgraded less. And it's sad we're here, but as creators, again, you have to watch it. And we all know that. You can't mention crowdfunding. You can't mention website URL. You can't mention Kickstarter, Indiegogo. Comic book is even now a bad word. How fucked up is that?
Really?
What?
Yes. Anyone who mentions comic book will see their stuff downplayed now. And that's because Facebook realizes comic book creators are on here trying to sell their comic books. It is the reality of the comic book creators. They can down throttle anything they want. You have to pay attention to what works and doesn't work. Use art. Use art to promote your stuff. That is the best way forward.
Yeah, basically, they just want you to buy an ad. That's what they want you to do.
Yeah. I mean, they're going to wind up putting ads in videos this year. You will have your videos interrupted when we're live like this, and it'll interrupt it and put a video in, and you won't notice it while we're live. They'll just pick apart, put it in, and then we won't be the wiser until we go back and watch your videos. And I always do that. I don't know about you guys, but I watch my videos later, and I'll jump ahead sometimes just to see quality and all that. But I'm not going to be surprised. You know how I know that's going to happen? Because they're already doing it with other things. I have a friend who put out an ad for his book, which is all ages, and they put in like something that was a politically driven movie that showed something inappropriate for an all ages book into his marketing. And that was his video. So now if anyone was all ages and saw that, they thought that he'd be connected. And it was adult themed and political, mind you. So now they think he's that political leaning. So Facebook isn't your friend, but it's the best thing out there. It is what it is right now, right?
Wow.
Yeah.
But yeah, post your books. The only thing is in here, no Kickstarters, no crowdfunding. I want this to keep this pure. No art, no nothing. I want this to be a place where we're putting up books. So this can be, like, I've never seen a group like that. Name one group that just is about selling comic books.
No, usually you see pinups and everything else they want to put up their show.
Yeah, and that's not to say that we're not going to be doing crowdfunding. Of course we're doing crowdfunding. When Sam's next thing comes up, he'll give me permission. We'll put it on the show, and he'll put it in the Comics Newsroom group, and then we'll put it out. When does it go live?
It is live.
Oh, well, he didn't put it in my group yet, or I haven't seen it. And if I haven't seen it, I apologize. I took the weekend off. Usually on Saturdays, I spend time with Jax.
Yeah, we went live on Thursday.
Oh, I didn't see it on Friday then. You must have missed the Friday cycle.
Probably. I've been posting every day. I'm a beast.
Yeah, if you don't do it Thursday morning or Thursday afternoon, I won't see it early Friday morning. A lot of times I'm building until we're at the show at 11. So, and this week Jax was sick. It was a weird week. So it could be me if I missed it. We'll rectify that. I'll just put it up for you. And wherever it is, I'll put up the terms. You always agree to it. You know, Backer Paws. You're even coming on Backer Paws soon, right?
Yeah, this week.
Yeah, that's what. See, segue. So I knew he was going live. I thought it was Monday for some reason.
No. We went live last time on a Saturday, but then talking to the Grand Wizard over there, JD Calderon, and Thursdays was a better day to go live. So we're currently at 44%. So and this is our fourth day in, so we're doing pretty quick.
Why Thursday, JD?
Well, the thing, when did you initially pop? The first time? Was it on the
First
weekend?
time was on a Saturday. Yeah, it's on a weekend.
Yeah, that's what it was. It was like technically they say the best day to start is on a Monday, but any day of the week that's not Saturday or Sunday is usually the days to go. So so Thursday is fine, but usually you want to try to do it on a Monday. That's what they say. I mean, I've
See, I heard the new one's Tuesday now.
Tuesday?
Because the busiest day, because of everything that happened with this year, the busiest, because it used to be the busiest day was Mondays.
Right.
That's no longer true. The busiest day is now Tuesday at noon Eastern. Is the busiest the internet will ever be, not counting streaming. Because streaming takes a lot. Streaming and gaming is completely different.
Right.
Those are obviously very big on Monday nights and Sunday nights, streaming and movies. Because Saturday people still try to go out, Friday with your family and all that. So there's a lot of TV on Friday nights, people catching up on their DVRs. I read the whole thing. Like, everything changed this year. And again, the topic of today should really have been trends, because trends change, themes change. The way that we even digest things have changed, and it'll change again. Well, I don't even know if do you guys call this when we restart again, will it be a restart or a reboot? I almost think we're going into a reboot when this is all over and we're all vaccine, because I think that we're going to see a lot of changes. We already have with comics. Comics are back in a big way thanks to indie creators like JD, who kept creating, kept kickstarting. Crazy Man over here definitely kept it going. He gave us something cool and unique last year. I'd never seen someone do a podcast where he turned people into zombies. That's awesome. That makes sense. And he didn't use one boob to promote it. But issue number 2 is all boobed. It's all boobs, all boobs, all boobs, all day. I launched on Tuesday, on a Tuesday. She's more than launched already. All right. Mike says, I had people try to oversell me. If money is getting lower and the only thing people want to sell, if a set of their work, they are barking up the wrong tree. Now, if I buy an issue and I really like it and search out the rest, that's a great point. Like, when someone is interested in your book and they kind of balk at the price of the single issue, I'll lower it sometimes if I think that they're genuinely interested in the story. Because you'll hear it. I like to read the first issue. Then you shut up and you give it to them. Because then you know they're a person who will more than likely buy. And I've said it. You know what? I'll give you the price it would be if it was in the bundle. I'll sell it to you for $5. And I'll tell you the truth, God's honest truth, 90% of the time I've converted them to the package. And when they come back for the package, I sell the rest of it to them with the price there. Because if you can get someone to read your book, that should be all you need. You should only need to have someone read a book. That's why I love 4-day shows. I've sold books on a Friday, a single issue. Even if they spend 10, because some people will buy it at 10 and they'll come back. I bought it on Friday, it's Sunday. I was like, I want to get the rest of the set. How much would it be? I'd be like, still 25. You already paid 10. You owe me 15 for the rest. Be that way with the people who are supporting you. I don't understand why creators who don't do things like that are always so confused by it. Like on Kickstarter, you guys offer people deals. Offer it to them in real life. That's the whole point of the con table, is I want people to also give people deals. Pretend it's your con table, except you're not paying for a table and you're not paying me. It's on Facebook. It's shareable, because Facebook so far doesn't care if you share Facebook posts. Give it time. I'm sure it'll get upset about that too. But for now, it likes when you do that. So
I had something that I would do is I had my first issue I would sell for $1. And I would tell everyone, and it was just the first issue, it was digest size. The book is $1. And if for some reason you don't like the book, bring it back to me. And as long as it doesn't look like a truck ran over it, I'll give you your $1 back. And so it was fully, you can bring it back. I only had one person ever bring back a copy. And the only reason he brought back, it was a kid. He brought it back, and then he ended up buying the full set of books. But he needed that $1 to complete it, to get the rest of it.
You didn't just let him keep the book? You evil man.
No, because the actual comic-sized book was part of that package.
Oh, okay. All right. I was like, wow, we have a Grinch with us this morning.
No, I'm bad.
Get back, you little bastard.
It's a business side. 35.
I'm teaching you a life lesson, kid. All right? No one works for free. Meredith says, just about comic books, Rob? I thought it was open to people who sell at cons. Do pros qualify at this group? Yes. Prose, writers, novels, all that would count. Stickers.
Those people, you can't pay attention to those guys. Prose people, come on.
Hey, I'll say this. I'll say this as a comic book creator. I'm all fine with them coming to our events, but you try to be a comic book creator and go to a literary event. Yeah, you'll see how quickly there's a double standard there. And it doesn't come from our side. I've never heard a comic book person go, those authors don't belong here. I've never heard that. But I know on the opposite side, they talk a lot of shit about comic book creators. Yeah. Just remember where that shade's coming from. Your big books full of words and no art.
No, I say that with tongue firmly placed in cheek because I sell prose all the time at shows. So.
No, yeah. There's nothing wrong. I consider prose part of the family of comic books because so many comic books have been converted from prose, and I've written prose. My scripts start off as prose. Mm-hmm. So I'm all fine with that. Backer pause was fun. I'm trying to marry my 2 words of prose and comics. Yeah. I mean, I'll tell you, I'm sure everyone in this room, because we all write or we dabble in writing. I know even Lanning has created some characters. You have this file on your computer just full of ideas. Some of them are prose story. Like I even debated this year putting out a book of prose, but I was like, when I found out how much it costs to have an editor look at that, I could have made a comic book. I was like, no, forget that. It would have been a 250-page book, though. Right. So that is a lot.
Yeah, the cost of editing a novel is just insane. I mean, I understand it, but it is insane.
I mean, even at $5 a page, you're getting into a comic. Yeah, 100 pages, $500. Like, think about that. That's not a comic, but you're getting pretty close to a comic at that point. Like, you can get some people to black and white. You could get around there. 500, you can get about a 20-page comic book out. Right, JD?
Yeah. I mean...
New artist,
New artist. Because, I mean, I was like, $500. I'm like,
I've seen it done. I'll put it that way. It's not going to be the best thing in the world, but it's possible. That's my point.
If you catch someone that's new and they just want to make a mark for themselves, you can get them, at a decent rate. But just understand if you're going to have a working relationship with this person, they're going to ask for a bump up at the end. And
deserve it. They're going to want ownership. I've had people who want to work with me for ownership split. Mm-hmm. Where they want to work with me and be part of the book. And, it helps when you start getting more picked up. I mean, we're seeing Scott Snyder on the previews catalog right now. Who wouldn't work with Scott Snyder right now? Right. You know what I mean? I'm sure if Scott Snyder said, I'm looking for an artist, everyone would be like, I'll do it for free just to get my name done. But, of course, you want the back end if you're going to do it for free.
Right. So you'd work on spec.
Yeah, and what happens later with your work, that's how you do that, and that's a collaboration. Mm-hmm. It's possible, but you'd still need to pay an editor for a comic book. So, all right. So this is speaking of that, last weekend to get your copy of Cat Dad and Supermom, and Ella Fart Never Forgets. January code 211-5232, and make sure you get your copy now. And that's one of the many great books and previews, and you can find out all of them. Please call your local comic book shop and order some books. It's a good way to keep the comic book shops going because you're going to be paying them for books. They're going to make money. You keep creators getting into new markets because that's very important. The greatest thing about Diamond is it does get us into new markets. I'm sure JD one day will go back to Diamond. I'm sure they're a lot more friendly to indie creators now after Kickstarter's huge year last year. They are definitely opening doors from what I've heard. Losing DC probably helped too.
Just a little bit.
Just a little bit. All right, guys. Let's talk about
20% of your market.
Yeah. Let's talk about the awards. What have you guys entered the awards? I have so much going on with the awards. I don't know. And if you haven't entered the awards, you really should, especially JD with that cover behind you. And the great thing, before I pass this on, remember, just joining the awards also helps advertise. We have thousands of people looking at what we're doing right now. I have to do an interview with a couple places that are actually picking us up now and want to know about these awards. And this year, it's all about you guys, the fans. So get out there, rally your troops, get to be part of the conversation, find a new market. This is what these are about. This isn't about one person winning. We're all going to win with the awards, because it's about time. An awards ceremony was about independent creators. But go ahead, talk to me about the awards. What would you guys put up? We have tons of topics, by the way. Crazy man, we haven't heard from you.
I didn't know about the awards.
I'm doing my job wrong. I'm going to go take the Japanese sword and cut it through me. I've clearly failed. I have failed as an advocate for myself and what we're doing. The awards started last year. It's about independent creators, where it's all focused on that. We have categories, and I can tell them to you right now because I have it in my notepad. For art, for example, we did strongest sequential work, layout, most compelling character designs, standout architecture, best landscape, colorist of the year, line art, splash page, pinup, cover of the year. That's just the art category. We also have the crowdfunding categories, which obviously deal with a lot of crowdfunding. And we even did printer of the year and independent cosplayer. What that means is you can only dress up as an independent character. No Captain America or Catwoman this time around. And writer of the year, you have one shot, short stories, all ages books, the originality award for series that are brand new. We even have one ongoing series, IP. And the cool thing about the words is usually you have to do everything in 2020, but with writing, let's be honest, it sometimes takes a 2-year cycle to really get it read. For someone to read it, it sometimes takes 2 years. Right. So we've extended back to 2019, and from now on, with writing awards, we'll give a 2-year window. So the release will have had to have happened in 2019, not earlier. And then in our creation category, so we're splitting it over 4 nights. That's how big these awards are going to be this year. And it's all chosen by you guys, the fans. We're going to have letterer, editor, webcomic of the year, anthology, on-air talent, which JD still needs to give. Did you put your videos in?
I haven't. No.
Yeah, put them in. You're in the contest. Put it, and you should be there for what you're doing with the crazies. Even Sam, you're doing some good stuff there. That'd be great for you. Comic book reviewer, best home display, podcaster of the year for podcasts, guys, not Facebook Live. Podcasts, breakout creator of the year, and rookie of the year. These are all some great categories. You can find that by going to our site right now. It's part of the Comics Newswire. It's also on Facebook. Just look up the Independent Awards, Independent Creator Awards, which I'm going to look up here for you guys.
The only thing I'm not clear on, Rob, is when are the awards and what's the cutoff for people to vote?
This year, the awards are going to, like I said, 4 nights. So each one's going to have a different night for the awards. So I can tell you right now every night and when the cutoffs will be. We're going to take it down to the wire. Basically, the last day I'm going to be making the awards for the people who won, probably within 2 hours. Some of these you'll see right away someone running up. Now, here we have a perfect example, the independent cosplayer thing. That's part of crowdfunding. Crowdfunding is going to be handled by Indie Volt on February 28th, 21, the last day of February. They'll be taking that over. So Varian's hosting that. I'll be in the background. Varian is the host. He has a co-host he's choosing, and he's going to run it his way, but he's going to read off all the awards. So now you see right now you have Karen Nicole Firebitch. Now, the cool thing about topics like this is, what if you cosplayed your character, Sam? What if you dressed up as your character?
I did.
Okay, cool. So you should enter this. But here's the thing. Do you think you could ever beat a woman who's very attractive and wearing less clothing and showing off a lot of skin? Do you think that would be a fair competition? Because we didn't. We thought that would be a little unfair. So we made different categories. Different genres. So for a creator, there's 2 different ones. There's the creator being their creations, not for covers or sale. So Karen Nicole, because she does it for characters and for sale, would go for the cosplay for covers and sales, trying to keep it so it can be competitive. So let's be honest. Anyone who's been at a cosplay show knows 90% of the time the hot chick wins.
Yes.
It's just, unless it's the kids thing. We're not doing kids cosplay at this event. No kids cosplay. They are not old enough to consent to have their images put on social media. And we're not going to let the parents make that call for them. Because putting it on social media is permanent. So there'll be no children involved. Everyone's 18 and up. But I did think about that because I didn't realize you dressed up as your character. That's cool. You have to enter it. I know Bobby Gregory dressed up as Cat Dad last year. I know Andrea Molinari does the Shepherd all the time. There's no way he's going to compete against all the girls who've been doing covers this year. You know, some of those girls are hot. Like, I would vote for them over me. You know, like, yeah, they're better than me.
So they just put up a sign that says the character's name. Oh, there's
you win like a bra, just in a bra. You win a red wig.
But character taking a shower.
I want to see JD dress up as his character. That's what I'm waiting for. Oswald, JD.
Yeah, sure.
Set for 21.
I can put on the mouse ears.
That's what I'm talking about. Little mouse nose and all that. But I love to see. We have the whole package, which is, of course, the whole outfit put together, accessories, superheroes, anime, manga. And I want it to be something that's fun, that shows off characters, that gets people excited, not be Batman, not be Catwoman. Let's celebrate independent comics for 5 minutes. I mean, let's be honest. If it wasn't for independent creators last year, Kickstarter wouldn't have had the year they did, and we wouldn't have restarted the industry. Together, we're moving forward. No one's better than the other one, but let's admit that we're all there. And let's take a minute to celebrate. Everyone else celebrates all the mainstream, right? Every show you go to, even the online ones, are having cosplay, but none of them celebrate the independent creations. That's what this year's about. So that would be that night. For all the nights, this is actually, I have a graphic, and I'm sure I don't have it listed in here because I'm an idiot. And I'll own the fact that I'm an idiot. Yeah, I don't have the overlay. I'll do it real quick. But here are the nights for the shows. As I'm trying, there we go. We're going to start off. Geek Insider is going to do art. So they will be the ones in charge of art this year and giving away all the awards for art, including giving away their own award. And it was right there, and all I had to do was do this. I'm an idiot. Nope, wrong one. There it is. But this will look better now anyway. All right, so here we go. The ICAs, the Independent Creator Awards, presents awards for art. That's going to be given to us by Geek Insider. All these shows are at 6 p.m. Eastern. That is going to be on the 21st of February. On the 28th of February, the ICAs presents the awards for crowdfunding brought to us by Indie Vault. Chuck's Shop Talk is going to be doing the words segment of our awards on the 7th of March. And I end the show on the 14th of March, and that's going to all be at 6 p.m. To JD's question, those particular categories that are for that award show go to within 2 hours of the show, if not a runoff. If something is so close that it can be affected, we will let it run until the award goes. I will make up 2 plaques or 3, depending on how the award's going, and we will announce the winner. If we have a blowout, I'll just call it. You know, at a blowout where you don't think any change is going to happen, it'll be there. But for a lot of these, we'll let it take it to the moment the show is going to be there. I'm the producer on all the shows, so I'll be in the background for everyone. I'm the announcer voice on Geek Insider. I am the host on Comic Book Advocates. I am also the producer, and I think Chuck asked me to be the announcer on Shop Talk. I'm just the producer on the Indie Vault one. I don't want to be on camera for except one of them. This isn't about me. I can't stress that enough. This is about independent creators. I'm the one putting it together. Next year, I hope to have JD come in and maybe do a night and be an announcer. You know, I want to continue to grow this year after year. We also have a Hall of Fame. We haven't announced anyone for the Hall of Fame yet. The Hall of Fame inductees will be fully announced on the Comic Book Advocates night. Geek Insider starts it. I end it. We'll also be doing an in memoriam for all the creators who passed away in 2020. And even this year, if anyone that you know that's a creator that passes away, please make me aware of it. We're going to pay tribute to them every year during the awards, like every other awards show does. So please let us know, let us be aware of it so we can celebrate their lives. So does that answer all the questions, guys?
Yeah, I think so.
So what are you going to join? I want to know, crazy man. What are you guys going to put in?
I'm gonna tonight.
I'm good with that.
No, I didn't even know about all this stuff. I was like, what?
Yeah.
Pretty dope. Yeah.
We're serious about this. Like, we have some great names already running crowdfunding here. The crowdfunder of the year. Only one person has put it in there. I mean, I got to get with Bobby Gregory. He hasn't even put Cat Dad and Supermom in there yet. JD, how haven't you joined any of that?
I know, right? The king of crowdfunding.
I know he should just put JD Calderon 2020. Yeah. You know, like, don't choose a campaign, choose them all.
The slogan should be just give me the crown.
And you got the arts heating up. You got a lot of people in the art category. We have in the creation category, Victor Dandridge, I nominated for his amazing writer on Never Too Late and The Trouble with Love. We got Lorenzo Starr in the genre. And again, we're doing genres. And I think Meredith has finally made it to a show. We're going to see.
Oh.
Hey, you guys. I don't know if you can hear me all right.
Yeah, I can hear you. I don't know if you can hear us. But look, a nice crowd of people.
Mm-hmm.
Well put together. Oh, look at all the toys. See, I couldn't. If I had taken Jax to this show, I would have left poor. Or poorer. If that's a right adjective, I would have left poorer.
More poor.
More poor. But look at that. How beautiful is that site, everybody in the room? How amazing is that site right now?
Yeah, right.
Look at all those people. Credit to them. Social distancing. Masks are on. How's the mood, Meredith? Can you hear us?
I can hear you. Not that well, though.
Okay. How's the energy there? Are people happy?
Oh, yeah. People are very happy right now. I mean, they are. I'm walking around. I swear to God, I think I spy Luke. I've never met him in person, so I am going to come over here. I found him. All right.
Yeah,
there you go.
Hold on. Meredith, don't move. I'm going to call him. I'm going to see if he puts me to voicemail. How often? Let's see. I'm trying to call him. Does he put me to voicemail? Oh, it's cold, Luke. That's cold. That's cold.
He's trying to sell a book, buddy.
He's oh no, I'm sorry, it's okay. He's talking to somebody about his campaign and all that stuff. So
put me to voicemail. We have it on. That's heartbreaking. You want to know how much you matter to someone? Call them when they're on like a television screen and see it. But have you found Roland Mann?
I just got here, so I'm going to be walking around and I'm going to be talking to people. So if we're not here for Sunday Comics Brunch, what I'll do is I'll go online a little bit later and just do some snap interviews.
Or instead of going live, you know what you do? Record them and upload them when you get home. We can play them from in here.
Oh yeah, that would probably be a lot better. That way I can edit out a lot of noise.
Yeah, because you're kind of your image. We can see you, but it's breaking up.
Yeah. So yeah. I can't figure out the stupid math.
Oh, it's not you. It's the buildings. Oh, the Comic-Con buildings are always notoriously horrible to go live in. But go out there.
So go ahead.
I was going to tell everyone I said hi. Go out there and enjoy the Comic-Con world.
I will. I just wanted to give you another view of what I'm seeing here.
Yeah, it's beautiful.
Yeah, good.
Look at that.
It is a really nice event. A lot of people, very happy. Everybody's got their masks on. They've got the social, well, not so much social distancing, but I mean, there's hand sanitizer everywhere.
I love it. Thank you for calling in, Meredith. Go out there and enjoy it for us.
She just walked up too.
Hi, I'm actually with Geek Insider, Terraform Comics.
Geek Insider,
and, we're recording right now with Sunday Comics Brunch. If you wanted to say hello. Hey, there's
I don't
We're
know
all wearing our masks, right?
if they can hear us.
Here. They really packed this place. They really did, yeah.
Yeah. So anyway, guys, I'm gonna sign out of here for a little bit. I will check in a little bit later. I'll have some videos and stuff of the Snap interviews, and I will talk to you guys later.
See you later.
All right, take care, man.
All right, we're gonna let her out. Why is it on me of all things? I miss cons more now, right? Like, how awesome is it just to see that? I mean, was I the only one who started to smell the actual convention center? Like, instantly, I was like, it's that mold, urine, comic books, hot dogs, hamburgers smell. And then human, and then nerd. You smell nerd. There's definitely the smell of nerd, but that's awesome. I'm so happy. Like that almost brings me to tears. I miss that so much. I was so happy I got to experience that in November, late November. Michael was actually here with Meredith while I was on the other side. There's nothing like a convention and meeting up with people and getting people excited about the things you create. It's better than a Kickstarter. I've always said Kickstarter feels cold to me, while being there and seeing the person react to it is so amazing. Both are necessary, I think, if done right. You know, I know you have a Kickstarter going on right now, Sam. Do you want to talk about it real quick as we're wrapping up the show?
Yes, for Catch the Crazies Part 2. Catch the Crazies Part 2. And here is where you see Sam lose his mind. And George thinks Sam is talking to himself. And Sam decides to go out and challenge the universe to become the best podcaster. And, the universe is going to answer. And I don't think Sam's going to live to regret it. But it gets funnier. His rivals are getting more aggressive with him and George. And there's a lot going on. So in Part 2. So you'll get introduced to the Elsewhere, which is the realm with the 7 levels. And it's an alternate universe where the crazy man comes from, and you get a sneak peek into 2 key characters and some cloaked figures. So it's pretty dope. And the Kickstarter is running right now, and we're at 44%. We on day 4. We're excited about this, and we have a lot of different levels to this. So please back us. You're going to definitely enjoy the book. If you're a podcaster, if you're a comic book geek, if you're into gremlins and minions and mole rats, you're going to love this because it's our story. There's some truth to it with what happens at Comic Cons and what happens in podcasting, and then the supernatural. So it's pretty awesome.
Nice.
Oh, man, you have a big video.
Yes.
How long is your video?
That video, there's 8 minutes.
Oh, geez, that's why. That's a long video. I'm gonna have to cut that up to make it to backer pause.
Yeah, I have a 5-minute version too. That video was highlights from our interview on Nerds of the Round, plus me talking about the crazies and what people can expect from the book, and some about the characters as well.
I'll see if it'll let me even load it. I was gonna try to load it up for you, but I don't know if we're going to be able to do it. It's trying. I'll get back to you. Maybe because sometimes if it's low enough, I can kind of sneak it in. Because sometimes Kickstarter compresses your videos. I don't know if you guys knew that, but it'll compress them. Okay. A lot of times not, but we'll see. JD, when is your next Kickstarter? I know you recently hinted.
Yeah. That's for these guys right here. It's my sample books. That'll be... That'll be January, probably early February, probably the second week of February. It'll be out. Probably right after Daphne's book is finished, her campaign. Then like a couple of days after that, it'll be coming out. So
you want to talk about her campaign, or you want me to run the video for it? I think
yeah. Yeah, if you want, you can run hers.
I'll run her video right now.
Yeah.
right, JD. Any other things to add to it?
How long was that?
Minute 43, 48.
Okay, yeah.
I think,
That's
somewhere
what I thought.
around
Yeah, she wouldn't have made it through back and pause with me.
there.
I don't like, no, you need to cut that down to about a minute. Because I was just sitting there, it's like, why is it so long?
It's cold in Backer Paws Town, man. It's a cold place.
It really is. It really is. I was like, cut it down, cut it down. I was about to tell Sam the same thing. I was like, dude, a minute.
Well, I have more videos on the bottom, but
Well,
that
you know what?
we read. I was watching some of the,
Wait a minute, Sam. Do you allow us to do Backer Paws? Let me read you our terms real quickly.
No.
I think we're going to do an impromptu Backer Paws right now.
no.
We'll see.
Oh,
We'll see how long everyone has. So here's our terms for covering your crowdfunding. By posting in the thread, which you have, or asking us to advocate for your crowdfunding, you give us permission to share it and be part of the threads on our show Backer Paws. Info can be found where you've already seen it. This is an excellent way to gauge your crowdfunding extra exposure and reach. You can opt out, but if you do, we won't play the videos. You now know what this is. The rest is just stuff that you've read before. Do you agree to play Backer Paws?
God save my soul. Yes, I do.
All right, raise your hand, guys. Here we go. An impromptu Backer Paws now makes its way to the brunch. Let's see how long it lasts. Now, in fairness, I won't stop it until all three of us tap out, but I will be paying attention to the timer of how long it takes everyone to tap out. I got to watch some of it. It doesn't look too bad. I see what you mean. There is an interview with Sebastian, a friend of our show, a good friend of mine. So let's see, guys. Hold on. I'm just getting the timer out so we can time how long you guys all last. Because now I'm all giddy. I'm like, ooh, yes, let's do this.
Sorry, Sam, I'll apologize now.
Yeah, I know. I already know you. I see the devilish grin on your face.
He says he's sorry. He's not. He's not sorry.
He's ready
He
to
paused
go.
my video right away.
He doesn't have patience at all.
This is over. His videos, to his credit, his videos are like 56 seconds, and he's like, I could have cut that by 3 seconds.
But you know what? So, yeah, I was going to say, I've been watching a lot of some successful podcasters. I mean, not podcasters, Kickstarters. And a lot of them, the videos are even longer than mine. I'm just saying.
All right. No pressure.
No pressure.
Yeah, but also those videos get watched 1 out of 1,000 times. For 1,000 backers, one person watched it, and usually not to the end. So I've asked my friends privately. No one has a high finish ratio video. They have like 20%.
Really?
Yeah, there's a demographic. Look at your actual, not demographic, your statistical data.
Okay.
Your metadata. It tells you how many people watched it and how long they watched it. JD had some excellent one. I think one of the shows we watched, you had like an 88%, right?
Something like that. Yeah.
It was higher than mine, which I was celebrating an 81. He was like,
I have a 16%.
What's that?
16%.
Watch through, right? So that gives you an idea of how, and you don't know where the only thing that sucks, they don't tell you where the average time of cutoff is. I hope, and I've suggested to Kickstarter put in that average time of cutoff, because then you could learn where, okay, this works until this moment. Let me see what happens at that average time and look for what's going on.
So
But without
take a
further ado,
Kickstarter, I'm learning. So
here we go.
here we go.
We're gonna do Backer Paws. For the first time ever, Sam's second Kickstarter for Catch the Crazy. Here we are. Remember, raise your hand, and let me set off our timer, and we start now.
When two podcasters make a deal to make their podcast the #1 podcast in the world, they summon the help of something supernatural and quickly learn the truth to the old adage, be careful what you wish for, lest it come true.
I want to congratulate you guys for Catch the Crazies. You guys launched this Kickstarter in 2020, came through, and I am enjoying the hell out of the book. How does it feel, guys? You kicked off, and I found that story very relatable because, like, again, being behind the table, and I'm pretty sure Brian's gonna definitely mention that too, because being behind the table, there's a different feeling. And I remember that, like, I remember George's feeling, like, you know, I go to my first Comic-Con, I'm like, damn, this is dope. I want to be a part of this. And Sam captured that in the book. Is like, you know, the character walked away, he came back, and it was like, you know, oh, I got this bug in me. I want to get back into the convention scene. And then,
some of the interactions that are kind of ridiculous, were they true? So, for instance, being called the creamer, or the lady putting her books on your table, or the dog? Like, are all of those true? Did someone really like
That
disrespect?
gotta be true.
I'm gonna tell you this. I'm gonna tell you this. Two out of the three are true. You decide which one. And let's go around the table.
I mean, no.
Sebastian, which two out of the three are true?
I mean, I felt like that was true, and I love the fact that you guys put that in the book and tell it in a comedic way.
Hi, I'm Samuel, and today we're talking about Catch the Crazies issue number 2, which just launched on Kickstarter. And this is issue number 1. Here's a cover that I just did, that I did for issue 1, and this is the alternate cover done by Daphne Lage. And if you backed us on the first Kickstarter, you have these. And speaking of Daphne,
Are you done, JD? Is that why you unmuted?
Yeah.
Check that out.
Yo,
Talented
as long as
artist,
Daphne's
amazing
stuff shows, then we can go.
What will you get? What will you get? Well, fans can expect to see Sin lose his.
All right. So JD made 2 minutes, and I think he was being nice.
Yeah.
Well, no, you know what happened was I had it on mute. I didn't realize.
What you say?
I was muted. I didn't realize I had muted.
Oh, no!
I had
just
tapped
raise
out
your
through.
hand. The new format's like the audience can't see you. I usually
Oh
do
yeah.
it.
Oh, sorry about that. Yeah.
Now I'll go first since I tapped out at all of 28 seconds.
Oh, a little bit more time.
And the reason I tapped out at 28 seconds, it wasn't because I lost interest. It just I felt like I'd have to go through too much. I liked the beginning. I didn't get the elevator pitch. I never, as we ended the video right now at 2 minutes and 50 seconds, you still hadn't given me the elevator pitch. If I didn't know anything about your book, I'd be totally lost and think that you're doing an interview show, and that doesn't make sense. And I don't even know who you were. At that point, understand when you're in that interview show, you didn't establish who you were. You went into that interview show. So if you have a new person looking at your Kickstarter, no one knew who they were supposed to be paying attention to. If you had cut that back part before the interview, it would work better when you start telling us about that. Because that's one thing I saw. I know you, so I knew right away. That's where he is, and I know Sebastian. But if you don't know, you're kind of lost in it. So to me, the 28 seconds was right when it started because I didn't know enough. And I knew that was a tripping point. And I knew if I didn't know you, that was it. And I did watch ahead while we were talking, and I was uploading it when you guys were talking. And I do know that you had that whole section that if it's moved up just a bit, what I would do is turn on you saying hello to everyone at the very beginning, put that in between bump where you had that the beginning of your video, that in between bump, and then go to the interview. Because if someone's staying on for that part, the interview can be, okay, so now let me hear what these guys are saying about it. Because now I know I like it. I've established I liked it. I like the theme. I don't get that right away. I just get like if I didn't know you, I am thrown directly into this what looks like now a cartoon. Is this a cartoon? I thought it was a comic book. Oh wait, now they're talking. Who's the guy who made the book? I don't see the creator. Who? And I'm spending my time trying to figure out which person I'm talking to. And this is only for someone new. Your returning backers are going to like the video. But you have to ask yourself, am I aiming for my returner backers or am I aiming for a bigger audience? Right. And you have to look at the video that way. Just some resplicing, and I think you could actually get it to work and leave it as it is. You could probably get it up to about 40%, but I bet you're having a lot of people fall off right away at a confusion, and it's just that they're stopping to look at your Kickstarter. Mm-hmm. Wait, who's he? Wait, what is this about? It's interesting enough that I would have looked at your Kickstarter, though. That's the good news. You instantly had me at like, this looks funny and cool. Yeah. I just would have skipped the video and gone straight to reading to go faster. C tapped out at 47 seconds. Go ahead, C.
I like the beginning part of it. It worked well. I kind of got an idea of what it was about. The interview, yeah, I kind of got lost on that. I would have much preferred if you'd come in with your explanation and everything, showing us the books, and then maybe come into the interview part. That probably would have been a better cut, in my opinion. But yeah, the interview was kind of confusing because you had Sebastian talking a couple of times, but kind of lost who he was talking to. So, yeah, I think that really,
yeah, the highlights after that, right?
Yeah,
work better.
Or even perhaps maybe like taking segments from that interview, asking them if you could just do like quotes or something, just kind of put up on the screen like such and such says it's a funny book. Dash Sebastian or round of the nerd or whatever it's called. Nerds of the round, right?
Have you asked permission to put it in the actual YouTube link?
Robin,
have you asked permission to put it in the full interview in your crowdfunding thing so someone could watch the whole interview?
Well, nerds.
Yeah, just pop it in here. Let them watch the whole thing, and even put that in your video if you want to cut down the video. Just be like, hey, look at the bottom for the full video.
Yeah,
this is excerpts from our great interview. Because there's some important things they say. Don't get me wrong. Like, I heard everything they were saying. It was a great endorsement. But if I don't know what we're talking about, I don't know what you're endorsing.
Right.
And I'm so used to doing backer pause now, where I look for those key elements that I can't unsee it now. It's just drilled into my mind. The minute a video starts, my mind's already got the checklist. It actually sucks now because the first time I watch a video, I'm so busy literally doing the checklist, I'm not enjoying the video. Go ahead, JD.
Well, I mean, Rob pretty much got it covered. It was that beginning segment is just a little, for me, it was rough to get through because it was just like, okay, I see all these heads. I'm like, who are these people? Why am I here? You understand? But when you hit the part where you're at your desk, that's where I felt like, okay, I can make a little bit of a connection here. And the thing is like you said, I'm a little impatient. I would have never gotten to that point if I hadn't hit my mute button. So I got to see that part, and I was like, okay, this is cool because now I get to see the covers, and I get to see you, and I got to see some of Daphne's work, very important. And then we got to see we got to see a little bit more of it, and that's pretty much where I think you should start. I know you're selling yourself, or you're selling your platform, but if you're gonna sell a book, sell your book first. Because the book is awesome, and that's what you need to focus on. Focus on that book, and then on the back end, you show yourself, you show the interviews and all that stuff, and then people get to realize, all right, well, the book is cool, Sam is cool, the book is awesome. Let's go buy it.
So keep the opening trailer, or start with me.
I would start with you.
Okay.
Yeah, I would start with you, and then show the trailer.
Okay.
And you have that personality. Few people have that X factor. Yeah. You have it. You command it. And in all honesty, if you really want to go, record it with the mic in your face. The volume is very hard to hear. If you have the time, re-record that opening just so you can hear. Even if you audio dub it, because I've done that with videos. I've re-audio dubbed it by taking the audio out, and just what I'm talking about for those watching. You take the audio out and you raise the volume and you put it back in.
Right. I have all the originals, so I can just play with the adjust the audio.
Yeah, just get the audio a little louder and you're good. Because the minute you come on, you have that smile and that presence. It's like, you can win me over, and because I want to support indie creators right there. Okay, this dude is cool. And then I'd see that cut up, and I hate motion comics. This is a thing. Anyone who's been watching my backer pause, I hate when people make comics motion. It's because I'm a purist with comics. But in all honesty, I'd love to see this as a cartoon. I think you would be great on the new sci-fi thing, or with Rick and Morty on Cartoon Network during that period. I think you've got it. That's why, I really think that a quick couple changes, you might get a couple extra backers, because you being on screen right away, that's going to matter, because they're going to connect with you immediately. Awesome. And we'll go a little late on this show. Usually we cut it at 2, but because we're in the middle of this, I'm really digging it. Roland, I know, gives me permission to watch his things. Roland's someone I know, and I know that Michael Lanning's actually got a cover in this one, right? In Teen Beat
variant in there.
Is it in the? You guys want to do Michael's video now? Technically, Michael's. I know it's not fully Michael's, but now we can all back our paws on Michael's thing.
Absolutely, because I haven't seen it.
Oh, this is four of us. Time for the timer.
Back and forth is all thing.
We're taking over right now. All right, Meredith's gonna be looking like, what are they doing? I go away one weekend, he turns it into backer paw. But here we go, guys. This is it. This is the Silverline double feature went live right after we were actually finished backer paws on Wednesday, so we missed it, but we get it in right away. So here's the man, Roland Man. And remember to raise your hand. I can see you. Hi, so when you're tapped out.
I run Silverline Comics, the genre-spanning independent comic and graphic novel publisher. and I'm here to tell you about our first Kickstarter for 2021. It's a double feature flip book. We've done a couple of those before. You probably remember them. Hopefully you do anyway. Well, this is our third one, and it features Teen Beetle #1 and Switchblade #1, the remix volume. So here's John Crowther to tell you about Teen Beetle.
Hi, my name is John Crowther. I'm the writer and creator of Teen Beetle. It's a 3-issue series I'm doing with Silverline Comics that tells the tale of Blake Northrup. He's a teenager who has acquired the Vitamin 2X. You might remember from the old Blue Beetle days.
Gotcha, Michael.
He acquired it, and he has used it to transform himself into Teen Beetle. However, he's also awakened some evildoers, such as Dr. Mantis, who are set on grabbing that Vitamin 2X and using it for their evil means. So hope you follow us. We've got some great art by Del Barris and some great colors by Jerry Lou Smith. We're on Kickstarter, and hope to have you aboard.
Thanks, John. But wait, there's more. On the flip side, we've got Switchblade #1. It's the remix. Some of you might remember the Switchblade was originally published in 1997.
JD's out.
Yuck. We have digitally remastered every page, and the issue has been digitally colored by Aiden Belcher. So what is Switchblade? Well, let me tell you.
Switchblade is a story of Scott Nathan, guy, but he's fed up with the failures in the justice systems. Seems like a lot of us today, right? Scott, who's a boxer in New Orleans, is pushed over the line when a local elementary-age girl is raped and murdered, and the killers get away, all because of a paperwork error. Scott takes it upon himself to see that justice is done and becomes a bit of a hero to the locals, but a vigilante operating outside of the law, and thus wanted by the police.
And remember, both of these comics are completely finished. We could print them and ship them to you today, but that's where you come in. We need your help to get the funds so that we can print them and ship them to you. So give us a look. Pledge if you can.
All right.
Pledge if you can't pledge.
At the very end, he loses me, but I was actually content with that. But we'll go around the room and I'll explain a couple things I did see. First person to tap out at just 38 seconds. I'm telling Roland. Go ahead. And I'll be right back, guys. I just have to run out. Jackson needs me for something, so I'll be right back.
No.
Michael, you're in charge.
Switching over to the other guy to tell. I don't need to be told 100 times that this is from Silverline Comics. I feel like maybe could have said, "Oh, writer of Switchblade. What was it? Teen Beetle. Writer is Teen Beetle, and this is what it's about," and we move on. But I feel like kind of over explanation. That just didn't. It didn't really. I don't know. It didn't really click for me. I hate to say it.
Now, I tapped out when they moved on to the second book because it was just like, I got the first one. Now you're hitting me with the second book, and it's just like, okay, now you're,
Yeah. Well, the explanations were a little long. That's, Go ahead. Say.
No, that's how I felt. I felt I was okay until it started going to a second book, and then these long explanations. I was like, all right, forget this.
Yeah.
I was like, stick to the one. Tell me about the why.
Yeah.
And let's keep it moving.
And I don't mind him trying, because you kind of try to be a little bit personal. God's fed up with the justice system, like we all are. Yeah, I get that. But I think maybe you explained the book too much. He fed up with the justice system, so he just has to take things into his own hand, show us some art, and let's go. That's kind of how I. Yeah. But of course, Rob lasted longer than all of us.
Wow. I think he was just sucking up to Roland.
That maybe. It's like,
but the books look good though. I mean, that's the thing. I mean, the product looks good. I mean, the artwork looks nice, and I mean, I know you guys always put out a quality product. So,
well, what I would have liked to have seen first is one important thing is get that the books are ready to go. I'd like to have put that out front, right off the bat. That way, here are 2 books already done, ready to go. The risk is none, basically minimal to none. And this is what it's about. And then, I think that's a good selling point on Kickstarter is to make sure that those books are done and people know that the product's done. It's that way you feel safe backing it.
Mm-hmm. No, definitely. Yeah, that's the one thing. It's like, you hear about some of these books and you're like, oh, I'm going to get this in 2022.
Yeah.
I was just like, okay, nice.
And if you get it in 2022, it's a nice surprise. But if you don't get it, you might just forget about it and go, wait a minute. Where's that book I backed 2 years ago?
Yeah. I definitely have a couple of those.
JD, did you explain why you tapped out at 111?
Yeah, I did actually. Yeah. So did Sam.
Yeah.
You guys are all done?
Yeah, we're waiting on you, sir. We want to know why you were sucking up to Mr. Man.
Just give me 1 second. Jack's just had an oopsie, and I'll explain. One quick thing, Michael. Did you show your cover? Do you have it to show?
I don't, but they did. He did put it. He put the pencils in the in the video. They weren't done. I've seen the inks. Tommy Floramonte did the inks, and Jeremy Kahn did the colors, which is really beautiful. I think he came in. I don't think he was able to get it up before he got the video, but
okay. But is it in the Kickstarter? Do you know?
Yeah, I don't. I think so. It was on there. I don't know if it was in his finished product though, because what he showed was the sketch cover or the pencils. I'm not sure if he had the.
Are you guys see? No, you're not seeing.
It.
Here, hold on. See what I'm doing. Tell me if we're heading it.
And there's the inks on it right there.
Cool.
But that was Tommy Floramonte. He made it look good. That's all I can say.
Okay, so I didn't hear you guys because, like I said, Jax, I had to go outside. They're building a fence next door, and no one asked us. So Jax's mom was asking me questions about it. I'm like, I have to go. I was like, no one asked me permission. They just put up a fence. Why are you bothering me? I was like, I wasn't involved in this zoning code meeting, so they'll have to deal with it with the landlord. I wasn't here for it. That's my story, and I'm sticking to it because I really didn't. No one asked me, but to me, I like the video. I didn't have a problem with it. I did want to know why Roland Mann's in a murder room. I'm a little concerned about the murder room. I'm a little worried about it. Look like could there's gonna be blood spray everywhere, but otherwise. I didn't mind it. He's got a great energy. I hate the opening as always. I don't need that Silverline music and that intro. I hate that across the board. That almost makes me want to stop. He did cut it down though, a great deal from his earlier videos, so I appreciate that. There was a point, JD, where we timed it. It was 20 seconds of Silverline. You weren't on a show for that one. I think even me and Chuck were like, JD would have hated that. Because I know you hate that with us. One day, me, Chuck, and JD were just ripping at this one guy's because he started off with this intro like it was a movie, and he gave the credits before we even got to the pitch. I'm not kidding. 45 seconds before we even knew what it was about. It was everyone's name in like it was a beginning of a movie. But he didn't even show art. It was all black screen. Remember that one, JD? He was mad. JD. Yeah. I love JD when he gets mad at those things. What are you doing? What are you doing? I didn't have one of those moments here. I liked what I saw. I also like John Crawford, so he's a friend. There's always a difference when they're your friends. And I haven't seen this video yet, so this is the first time I was seeing it, and it actually drew my attention. It wasn't perfect. If you're going to have a black screen like that, use the black screen. If you're not going to do anything with it, don't have a black screen like that, because that distracted me. I instantly thought about a murder room, and I was like, are they going to throw something at him? Is this like Nickelodeon about to be slimed? My mind could not stop coming up with scenarios about that. Otherwise, I dug it. I didn't really have a plausible moment till the end where it felt like he started becoming the typical late at night, and if you act now, I'll throw in.
Well, when I said it, I don't know if you heard it. I was saying, that whole idea that the books are already finished and ready to go. I wish that was a little more upfront than waiting as long as he did to talk about it, because that risk kind of throws a lot of people off from joining Kickstarter, from actually pledging for Kickstarter. It's because they don't know if they're going to get the books. Are the books done? Whatever. So, but I haven't watched the video yet. I saw that it was like 2 minutes going on, almost 3 minutes long, and that actually kind of deterred me right there from watching it. I hate to say, and I was like, I don't know if I want to spend 2.5 minutes to 3 minutes to watch a video about it. So
remember, motion pictures use 60 seconds to get you to go to the theater, if not 30 seconds. And that's more often 30 seconds. If they can get you there, and we have an art medium, and I tell it all people all the time, elevator, I said that to Sam earlier, remember? Put your elevator pitch first. Get it out there right away. Hook the person. That's your hook. It's the first thing that people stop at your table and they say, and you know right away whether you have them. Because you don't want to keep anyone sticking around that doesn't want to be there. Get them in that hook, see if they want more, and then go from there. And real quick, Mike says live stream with fans, I would guess, are close to the con experience, feel closer to the number of creators because of the Facebook streams. Yes, they're an intimate way to get to know your fans. Sam, you must really be experiencing that because you go live with a lot, and I see you answer questions very often.
Yes, and I'm going live at 3 o'clock today, drawing a cover for the Crazies. So,
how can you find that? How can you find that? Where would that be?
Catch the Craze. So I'm on YouTube, Twitch, Facebook, and Instagram live at 3 o'clock. Catch the Craze, and join me.
And then Mike says if the video is too long, I check my phone or tablet while it plays. The second book feels to me like Razor from the 90s turned male. That makes sense. That makes sense, actually. And
I think it was a 90s book, if I'm not mistaken, initially. This is just a rebranding, colorization. Now in color. That's
gotcha. And then Mike finally ends our program with the comments. Except this, we won't read it. Page count in each book is important, too. I agree with that. I always thought comics were 20 plus pages, but some are smaller now. Not the good ones. Actually, most indie creators do 32 pages, forgetting that we're competing with ads. The average DC books, I went through this, is between 16 to 22 pages, believe it or not, of just internal content of comic book story. That counts the credits page and the cover. So that tells you right there how little the 32 to 36 page DC book really is. And I remember I was having the conversation with someone, and they were surprised what I found. And I showed it to him. We did it live so he could see me count. And he's like, "Wow, I didn't realize I was buying so many ads." And you don't, because of the way they place them. Yeah. So it's strategic. But that's it, guys. We're at the end of the show today. We didn't get to mention on the show today, and that's okay, the free comic that you can get at comicbookschool.com from panel 1. Just go to comicbookschool.com, and you guys can get a free comic book. Mike did an awesome write-up that we will cover sometime during this week, where he talked about all the different projects within the Creator Connections panel 1. Did an amazing job. Mike's amazing. He's awesome. So we'll be talking about that this week. We'll see you again. I think I have an interview tomorrow at 11, but I know you'll see us back here on Tuesday when we do our Market Watch, the Comics Market Watch. And, of course, Wednesday, as you heard, I have a special guest. And after this experience, you could tell on his face, he's ready for backer pause. He's going to come out. And he's gonna be like looking at these videos. Once you've had your cherry popped, you're different. You just look at everything different.
I'm already editing the video while we're talking.
There you go.
Everything changes after backer pause. I want to thank Meredith for calling in on the road. That's awesome. We hope to be able to bring more of those moments. Sam, thank you for your time today. You're awesome with Catch the Crazies. Featuring C. Michael. Thank you for being on. And, of course, JD is always welcome at our shows, and it's always great to have him on Talk Comics. So there are a few people who know comics as well as him. So it's always great to sit around with a veteran and talk about the comics industry. That's it for today. We're out of here. We will see you back here on Tuesday with the news. Look for an interview and maybe some other cool stuff popping up till then between all of us. And today at 3 p.m., you'll be able to see a brand new Catch the Crazy cover being made live. So tune into that. And with that, we're out of here, kids. We'll catch you later on. So we're out.
Thank you.